Welcome to the One Life, One Chance podcast. I'm your host, as you know. This is Toby Morse. I'm in my kitchen now with a good friend of mine, Mr. Chad Muska. Welcome to the podcast, Chad.
Yeah, Toby, we did it. I'm here. I made it.
We'll get to how we met before, but I do remember I was out of the loop with skateboarding for a while, and then I started skating at Brooklyn Projects, I don't know, over 10 years ago, whatever. And I used to always skate with you, and we knew each other from there, but I didn't know that you were Chad Muska. I just knew you were the dude I skated with, you know what I mean? Then I was, oh shit, like this guy's a pro, and then we became, you know what I mean? Like, but just skating, because I was skating with some great skaters at Brooklyn Projects.
Yeah, and that's funny. When I'm driving on the way over here, that was kind of like my same thought, like the memory. I'm like, when did me and Toby first connect, you know? And I was like, you know, I was like, yeah, I just remember this dude showed up like you like came straight out of the 80s, like with like I was like, I think you had to you padded up with some knee pads and had an old school board, and I was like, and then you just started shredding, and I was like, and then you've always had great energy, like from the first time I met you, and I was like, and same goes for me. I had no clue about H2O and like your whole presence. I was just like, and that's all Brooklyn Project was, the melting pot of all these people coming together and skating and just having a good time. And I just remember like connecting with you and like having fun, and you were just shredded, and I could tell your true love for skateboarding was there. And I remember you were kind of like, oh, I had skated for a while, but you were hyped to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that was a spine ramp, I think, the original spine in the back.
Yeah, we built like one other like small, like little crappy one. I can't remember if you came to that one, but yeah, the spine ramp was definitely the one that set it off more.
Did Eddie Ratige build that one, or was he built the other one after that?
I built the little one, the first one. Yeah,
okay.
I was like talking to Dom about it, and I was like, we got to build a ramp out here, you know. And I drove to Home Depot and got a bunch of wood, and me and some homies like built it, like, and it was a sketchy one, but it went up to the brick wall and everything like that back then. And so that was kind of like the starting point for what's up, Stella? That was the starting point for the spine to come in. But I can't remember if Eddie built the spine. I can't remember. It's been a minute, man.
Yeah, that was such a really fun ramp. We had so many great sessions there, and such a diverse group of people.
Out of all the ramps, that spine ramp was the best one, I'd have to say.
Yeah, and that's where we met. All right, so before all that, I want to get into the life of Muska. First and foremost, you were born in Ohio or something?
Yeah, but Lorain, Ohio, outside of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Didn't spend a whole lot of time there. That was like my early youth. But yeah, that's where I was born.
Yeah, I would never guess that. I thought it was like California for some reason.
Yeah, I came here at a young age for skateboarding. You know, I you know, left everything, and this is where the dream was at.
Yeah. So how was it growing up for you in Ohio? Like, how old were you? Did you go to school there before you came to California? Or no?
I was really young, so I don't think I even went to kindergarten yet when I was there.
Okay.
And from there, I moved to like around the East Coast. I was in like Jersey and around Pennsylvania, different parts, and then in Levittown, Pennsylvania, and somewhere in Delaware. I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I was pretty young. But I lived out there until I was around like 7 or so, something like that.
So your real schooling started in California?
Yeah. I remember. I went to school on the East Coast, but I don't remember any of it.
Too young for that. I don't remember that shit either.
A lot of things happened in between. Yeah. But real school, like, the part that I remember was more in Arizona. I think I was in like
Arizona,
third or fourth grade. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and
And why'd you guys move around so much?
My family was just like, my dad was a biker, and my parents separated and got back together like multiple times, and so there was like a little bit of early chaos in my earlier years that sort of kept us moving, you know.
Yeah. You have brothers and sisters too?
Yeah, I have one sister and one half sister too. Well, two sisters, yeah.
Awesome. So
no brothers.
And then you got to school in California. And how was that, like, that transition from coming from the East Coast and moving around and coming to actually...
I never went to school in California.
Oh, okay.
I dropped out of high school to come to California.
Oh, shit. Okay,
I was a freshman in high school, and I dropped out. And I came to California to be a skateboarder. And,
damn, that's amazing.
You know, it was times were different back then, you know, but I felt that the school system, at that time was very against... people that weren't normal, I guess, or weren't conforming to normal society.
The black sheep.
You know, as a skater with green hair and blue hair and baggy jeans and chain wallets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the teachers didn't really accept me, and
Especially back then.
And I wanted to do good in school. Like I enjoyed learning. I have a thirst for knowledge, and I always have, and continue to this day too. And so it's not having an academic background is I'm never proud of that, but it was what I had to do in order to make it in life. It's just my calling, and I knew something else was out there that I had to go and search for.
Yeah, Stella's on the podcast.
We love Stella.
So while you were in school, did you just hate it? Did you get good grades? Did you?
It was there was like different levels, like ups and downs. In 6th grade, like I didn't do good there because there was like a lot of gangsters in the school, and they didn't like us, the skaters, and like they would like basically sweat me every single day. So I was kind of like living in fear going to school. So I ended up dropping out. I mean, ditching school pretty much all the time to skate at that point in my life. And so I did pretty bad in 6th grade, ended up doing good in 7th grade. And the teachers were actually cool at that school. And they were like, for whatever reason, they were accepting to me. But it was when I went into high school that things sort of changed, I think, with the school system for me out there. And ultimately led me to leaving and heading to California. I was also back and forth from my mom moved to Las Vegas, and I'd be back and forth from Vegas, and my dad was still in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. So I would go kind of back and forth from the two. Never went to school in Vegas, but I was out there a lot skating with a lot of people and stuff.
So what was your connection and like your first exposure to skateboarding? Like what was it that got you into it?
So like the earliest one was my dad was living in Arizona when we were on the East Coast, and he sent me a skateboard out, like an old like Veriflex or like one of those like sketchy like mall ones, And so that was like my first one, and there were some skaters that skated around there. There was an abandoned skate park on the other side of this freeway, and so I saw skaters skating there, and then I had seen like I think it was either then or right when I got to Arizona, I saw Thrash in the movie. And so that was a big impact on me. And then living in Arizona, there was just kids that skated in the neighborhood. That it was just pretty popular in the late 80s, right before it died. And so my BMX bike got stolen. I was really into BMX bikes.
Nice.
And I got a skateboard from one of the kids in the neighborhood, and there was no turning back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you? What would be your age at that point?
Like when I started skateboarding?
Your first board,
10 years old, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, about 10.
And so it was an automatic connection to you. You loved it. It was became everything for you.
Yeah, it was a pretty instant thing. Like, I don't, like, it's almost weird. Like, it's almost like life before and after skateboarding for me. It's almost like because right now I feel like it's always been there. Like, as far back as I can remember, I've always had skateboarding.
Yeah.
But, there was a time where I didn't, but it's almost like I don't even remember that time,
Yeah.
Like, so it's like from 10 on, it was just like I picked that thing up, and it was my life. It was everything, and that's when I started to try to find out about the magazines and the
Thrash,
videos.
Yeah.
And it was really hard back then because there was no internet or you had to go to the skate shop. You had to see these videos.
VHSs.
VHS. If you were lucky, maybe the Blockbuster had some, or whatever video rental store had some kind of skate film, but most of it I think was just thrashing and at one point then Gleaming the Cube or like
Christian Slater.
Yeah.
Thrashing was but that's Brolin too, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Brolin. That's sick. And how Bones Brigade videos, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that was a huge impact, and and so that was like my first exposure to skateboarding was through like the Bones Brigade and seeing those videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, it's crazy. But then it wasn't till like when I saw like the 8th Street videos where I was like, it felt like very relatable and attainable to me.
Yeah.
As to where before that it felt like it was something like that was this magic like Disney or something. Like
it did
was
look like that.
So huge that
I agree.
it was never accessible. It was just like that's them. That's the
they look superhuman.
They were superheroes.
Yeah.
They would
totally
by all 100% superheroes, and I could never be a superhero. But when I saw like the 8th Street videos, I was like, I could be this. I can do this. It felt very relatable. And another thing, which was like kind of left out of my memory for a while, but we're doing an art show tomorrow at Shepherd Ferry's Gallery.
Oh shit!
And it's all based around New Deal and 1990 relaunch of some products that happened then. And and that was a big impact on me too. That I sort of like it was so underground at that time because that's when like skateboarding had just like died pretty hard, you know.
Yeah.
And unless you were like
The ramps went away. I mean, it became
all the skate parks closed, and that 80s like hype was just gone instantly, kind of overnight. It felt like and then that was the birth of street skateboarding because we had nowhere else to turn. You know, there was no skate parks, there was nothing, so we had to go to just flat concrete or look for embankments at schools or in ditches and be creative. And so that was like that was the birth of street skateboarding. And then I saw those videos and I was like, you know, this once again, it was relatable. You didn't have to have this grand skate park or whatever. You can go to a local parking lot and try to create these things that you were seeing in these videos. And that was a really cool moment in time for me.
Yeah, that's crazy when all that shit went away. I remember I talked to Christian and Cab also on the podcast too. They talked about that time when like it just vanished, like everything they were doing in skating just was over. It's crazy how to take it away like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it was like as my interest was getting heavier and heavier for skateboarding, the actual industry and popularity of it was like fading and dying away fast. But I didn't care because there was nothing else that mattered but that skateboard to me in the world, you know, like that was it. That was everything.
Were you a ramp skater too?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. Like,
I mean, I skate ramps with. I know you can skate.
Yeah. When I was younger, I skated much more often, and there was a Tower Skate Park in Arizona and a place called Thrasherland, and they had like, you know, they had vert ramps and mini ramps, and they had. Well, Thrasherland didn't have a street course, but Tower Skate Park had a street course. Yeah. And then also backyard pools were like huge in Arizona. Yeah. And so I started skating in the 80s, so I was skating vert, skating mini ramps, skating pools.
Everything.
That was what I was skating. There was no street when I first started, really. So you know, there was kids in my there was local pools in my neighborhood where kids skated. Yeah. And that's what I really started skating in, was a pool first. Yeah. And then some launch ramps outside. And launch ramps were sick. Yeah, the whole launch ramp era.
That's amazing. It's crazy that nobody thought about street the whole time. It was just these other things. Yeah. It's like you would skate the street to get to the park or to the ramp, but nobody thought about, like, I don't know. It's weird. The street was always there.
What's funny is I could carve over the light in a pool when I first started skating, but when I went skating down the street, if I got to a corner of the street, I'd pick my board up and like straighten it out for the other, like to turn the corner. Like I couldn't even like carve around the corner. Like, that's a memory I have. I don't know, you know, like I'm sure it didn't last long like that, but I remember like being very uncomfortable skating down the street or like going up to a curb, and there was no way I could ollie up a curb, but I would try to like just like you know, I don't know if I had those lappers on or not, you know, sick. But I would just kind of like put the nose up and like nollie, like, you know, just lift the tail up real quick to try to get up the curb real quick. That was like a trick for me, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember your first trick that you learned? Maybe.
I mean, probably the ollie for sure. You know, I think that's the basis to anything. I mean, there was like the one stupid thing where everybody put the board upside down on their feet and halfway and jumped and flipped it halfway and landed on it. You know, like
almost a pogo kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Or like when it was like you put your feet and you lay the board on top of your feet and then just jump and it half flips and land on it. Like, I don't even know if that's considered a trick, but I remember that
exactly
was
what you're talking
something kind of cool. It was like, wasn't a kick flip, but you kind of felt like you were flipping your board.
So at that point, what did your parents think about you, like, just leaving school and moving to California? Were they supportive? Were they like, this kid's crazy? Or were they?
Well, like, I mean, because in the beginning, like, they were just super supportive of my skateboarding in general. Yeah. They loved it. They've always
saw the passion.
Yeah, they've always been supportive of whatever it is in life, as long as it was positive and I wasn't doing something bad. You know, they were always supportive of that. And, but there was definitely, like, you know, some concerns, and they weren't like supportive of that idea, you know. And I was getting into some bad things as a kid, and, you know, messing around with drugs and partying very heavily, and I you know, so from as a parent's aspect and looking at it, like they were probably concerned at that time, you know, like what's this guy doing, you know. We know he loves skateboarding, but especially at that time, it didn't really, there was no light at the end of the tunnel for skateboarding. It didn't seem like there was some golden opportunity that I was working for or chasing.
It was just fun. It just like it still is, but it wasn't like what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I had gotten into some trouble throughout the years, and you know, with graffiti and with I stole some product from a skate shop because I needed to skate, and I got in trouble for that, and like so there was little things that I got like into some trouble over the years, and it was kind of accumulating, and instead of like facing it with my parents and like trying to make it better, I chose to just leave, and I broke out, and
Wow.
and left everything to go to California.
Did you have friends out here already?
No.
That's
I
amazing.
met one guy one time, my friend, and I kind of talked about this before, but my friend Mikey, who had went to Vegas one time, and he worked at this skate shop, Hamels, in San Diego. And he was like, if you ever come to Cali, hit me up, and I showed up, sure enough, and I was like, what's up, bro? And he's like, I'm working, like, and I was in Mission Beach, San Diego, and I just met this group of like squatter kids, and they were taggers and squatters and skaters.
Yeah.
And they just kind of took me in, and
Wow.
and I connected with them, and they were sitting on the beach, and I was like, what's up? Like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm out here. And I had a broken ankle at the time because I had broken my ankle really bad in Vegas.
Okay.
And I was still on a cane. It was healed, but I had a cane, and so I couldn't even skate yet. But I had like my backpack and my graffiti book.
A cane, no place to stay.
Yeah. I don't even know if I had I had my skateboard. No, I might not even have had a board yet.
No phones back then.
No phone.
That's crazy.
Nothing.
Totally off the grid. Pretty much.
I mean, I it's funny, like looking back on
Think
things,
about
you're
that.
like, how did we survive? Even what I mean?
Fucking
Like,
crazy, man. Or did you just
but-
roll up?
yeah, that was it. And you had to, and it was such a different time, and it's I appreciate that, like. I've lived through this transition of times of technology and connectivity and all these things that because what's happening now isn't all bad. Obviously, there's a lot of great out of what's happening with social media and with connecting. But just as anything, there's some negativity within it as well too, and bad aspects of it.
Of course.
Where
Gets dark on there.
yeah, and where we don't, we all feel that we're more connected than ever, but we're very disconnected in so many ways in life, with people, with humanity in general.
Yes.
With like being out of touch with the truth of humanity and who we
reality.
are.
Mhm.
And it's like we're all living in this digital fantasy. I myself included, even as aware of it as I am, I'm still a bit of a slave to it as well, because we've been conditioned now to believe that if we're not participating in this digital reality, we're irrelevant or we're left behind. And
It's really true.
and
Sad.
but the sad part about it is there is a lot of truth to it.
Yes.
If no matter how positive or consciously aware I am of the environment or society or morals or all these different things, it doesn't take away the fact that we need money to exist in this reality that we live in. We need to eat. We need to have a home over our heads. We need to provide our families. We have to do all these things. And so with that said, being part of social media is a part of that. Well, at least for somebody like myself, who's a creative or a skateboarder, who has a brand like you, with music,
100%.
with clothing, with all these things, that projects that you want to do. You now have direct connection to your entire audience, which had never happened before in the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, maybe you could do an interview in a magazine, and that you have to wait for that interview to come out. People have to go to the store. They have to get that magazine. What's happened that's changed in your mindset in that 3 months before you did the interview to the interview came out, or a month, or however long it's been. Right now, this is real time. Your thoughts, your projects, your anything that's going on with you, people that are interested in you or have followed you are able to connect with you in real time, which
super
is
fast.
insane. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also this level of information and an amount of
Too much
information.
information.
There's our hard drives up here in our mind cannot store all this information and
It's
process
definitely fuck
it.
with people mentally for sure.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's overload.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what are the long-term effects of this. This is infant stage right now. Like, even like, so Instagram's been around, what, like 5-6 years or something like that? Maybe 7 years. I don't know how long it's been. But even the first couple years that it's been around, it wasn't what it quite was right now. And we've seen it like snowball. And Facebook was there and stuff like that. And I never really messed with that a whole lot. But it went from like, it being just this funny little thing that you checked out every once in a while to like this
People's lives.
You can't even go 10 minutes without, oh man, I drove from here to Toby's house. I had to check real quick in my car before I came in. It's
Crazy,
it gets
man.
like that,
It's
and I don't know how I got on this topic
no, but
exactly.
It's scary. Me and Rappaport talked about 2 days ago. He's like, yo, check your phone. See how many hours you spent on social media today. I go, you go first. And he did his, I did mine. He's like, that's fucked. He's like, we're 49-year-old men, but we're on this shit. But he's promoting his shit. I'm promoting my stuff. We promote positive. We do the best we can down there, and it's a tool, and it's
yes.
But I think Steve Jobs, don't quote me on, but I think he said he wanted to create like the human extension of the body and with the phones, and I'm pretty sure he fucking did that. It's part of our bodies, man. The phone, it's the last thing you look at before you go to bed, and the first thing you look at in the morning. It's fucked.
Well, the evolution of humanity has definitely integrated with this digital extension of our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened. It's done. It's going. There's no turning back.
Yeah.
So it's like people look to the future and they say, well, there's going to be hybrid humans and they're going to integrate technology within humanity. So in a way, that's already happened because you have a question and you instantly have the answer. You can have the answer to any question you want in 2 seconds. How do I build this refrigerator?
That's true.
How do you, whatever,
Yeah.
any single thing on earth, every library ever existed is consolidated into your hand in 1 second. You can know these things and learn how to do anything.
Yeah.
And
bad things too.
Bad things.
Yeah.
And but we've become so conditioned to that. The scary part of it is that we believe in what we're reading and watching and being told. So therefore, we can be told anything at some point. You know, maybe right now it's a little bit, realistic, and the things that we want to find out and learn and do are all being the truth somewhat told to us.
Yeah.
But eventually, they can slowly skew it into any way that they want to some extent. And I'm not trying to be like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. But the reality of like, I mean, look at like your sponsored feeds nowadays and stuff like that. So I mean, you could talk and like maybe I said refrigerator right now. I could go check my social media 2 seconds from now and it could be all new refrigerator, scary, advertisements. And that's what it is. I mean, right now we're being recorded. Everything we're saying is recorded and being put into data, and we have a profile built on us. And it's like, okay, here's this white male who's interested in art and skateboarding and music and carpentry and and all that stuff. And it's like, what do we want to feed this mind? And what can we get out of it? And who is we? I have no idea, but it's somebody or something. I don't know.
I do see ads pop up in my Gmail like tattoo removal or Nikes or just shit that I'm into. I see it all the time. It's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. And now it's and I was getting pissed the other day. That shit started to work on me. I was like, oh man, my back's been hurting. I was thinking about getting one of these massage things, and then like boom, 2 seconds later, I pop up my Instagram. It's like, massage gun, this, that, and I'm like, oh, that looks good, and I'm like. And I pressed the link now, and I bought that thing. And I was like,
"You got that big crazy gun thing? Those things are ill.
Yeah,
They're really good, though.
I love it. I love that thing. But I'm not sponsored by them or anything. Like, hey, but if you want to sponsor me, guys, no.
Yeah, they're not cheap. But we had one on tour. We were sharing it to my friend. It's like a drill, but it's for your back. It's so good.
Yeah,
man.
that thing's amazing.
Heavy
There's a bunch
duty.
of them. The one I got was the Theragun, and it was pretty expensive. I was like, I got suckered into that. There's some cheaper ones I saw on the market out there.
That's the one, though. I think.
It's so good, man. They got little different extensions and like. But yeah, once again, I'm not trying to market anything on here. I honestly love that thing, and
so you got a good product out of them.
Yeah, it actually worked.
Looking
it actually worked. Thank you, algorithm or
Big Brother, whatever it is. They got you to get the thing.
Artificial intelligence.
Those are really good points though about the internet. So what's crazy is that almost everything you started doing on your own as a kid was before the internet. Before skateboarding was a career you could actually have. You did it because you loved it. You did it and you moved to California because you met one person, said, hit me up when you get there, and just showed up. That's how life was, though, is just being outside and being creative and doing shit. And you were doing that at a very young age, and you took a chance and came to California by yourself, which is pretty fucking amazing.
Oh man, yeah, it's been an amazing ride, and I'm grateful for every second of it, But it wasn't all a walk in the park by any means. You know what I mean? There was many years of struggle being out here and being homeless on the beach and being starving and needing food and going, did I make questioning my decisions in life, and should I go back home, and just all those things were constantly lingering before I finally was able to like really start to make it in skateboarding.
And how long did that take from the time you met those kids in California that kind of took you in? Like how long did it take you?
It was probably about 3 years.
And was your goal to be a professional skateboarder at that moment?
When I went there, I wanted something else. That's all I knew.
And you knew you loved skateboarding, you were good at it, and you loved it, was your passion.
I was a little skeptical because I'd broke my ankle, and I have like, I had like, it's like was a bad break. I have like operation with like the pins and a metal plate and all that stuff in it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yes, since I was a little kid and I started skateboarding, I wanted to be a pro skater. Like that's, was my dream and I was a little kid. And so that never died. But I also was like, I just was going to give it a shot no matter what, even if I was going to go get a job at McDonald's or whatever it was. Like, I just wanted to like go to California. My heart and soul told me I had a calling. I had to go to California.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but that's what I had to do. And it was risky, and it's not, and I'm not saying that like everybody like quits, drop out of school and run away from home. Like that's definitely not the advice I would give anybody out there.
But follow your passions though.
Yeah. Sometimes if your heart is telling you something over and over and over again, then sometimes you have to follow that voice, So, but it was a rough ride, and then things started to take off, and it became amazing in a pretty small amount of time.
Yeah. So like, were you working some jobs when you first get out, or you were just kind of in the streets?
No, I never worked a job ever since I got to California. Like I just was
holy shit.
I was just hustling on the beach. You know what I mean? Like
holy shit.
Begging for change sometimes, and then the street crew.
So you never worked a job from.
After I had a job in Vegas, like working in a concrete precasting place, and we would make like big, huge cement boxes and load them on semi trucks and put them out for like underground electrical boxes and some sewer systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then I got busted for graffiti there in Vegas for my third time, and I had like huge amounts of fines and community service and possibly some juvenile detention time.
Oh shit!
And because they were cracking down hard on graffiti at that time in Vegas, and so that's when I was just like, I just ran away from it. I was like, I'm out.
Fuck.
I was just like, I'm not doing this community service. I'm not like gonna work this job. I had dropped out of school already, and I was like, I was just like, I'm out. Like, there's no way, and I just like stayed in Cali until I was 18. I never went back to Vegas until I was, and I thought, I never knew if that was true or not, but I always heard that once you turn 18 that the juvenile record goes away. It was, I always hoped it was, but I might still have a graffiti charge in Vegas.
What did you tag? Do you have a name? Was it?
I used to like me and my friends had a crew called SA, which there was a big SA crew already but we didn't know shit. We were like, this is we didn't have no internet or anything.
I was gonna say that,
yeah, but that's funny. So, no disrespect, SA. Don't come and get us, no. Gator. No, but that was one of our crews, and USK was another one we tagged. It was like the Urban Street Knowledge and Urban Street Kings, and
awesome.
I used to tag. What would I tag? I would tag Fila. That was like my tag for a long time. Yeah, and I had like a little like Fila jumpsuit, like a velour jumpsuit. I had one that I was like so hyped on, and that was like my. Yeah, that was my thing. I tagged Fila for a long time.
That's amazing.
I don't know why. I had a couple other names for sure over the years. Like, I can't remember the other ones. I think the first one I tagged was Foos, but that's when I bit my homie from Arizona. That my friend moved from Puerto Rico, and he was the first tagger that I saw, and he wrote Noose, like Nuce. And I went to Vegas, and I was like, I'm a tagger, and I was like, I write Foos, and I like just copied his style a little bit and like added an F instead of the N.
That's fucking amazing.
But then I switched it up after that a while. Then yeah.
So you were a hip hop kid for sure.
Yeah, well, but skateboarding was everything back then. You know what I mean?
But the soundtrack is more punk rock back then, wasn't it?
I was totally into punk rock. I loved punk rock.
Yeah, Muska got a Bad Religion tattoo. It's sick.
I got a Bad Religion tattoo. I went to
awesome.
Arizona. Was like the punk scene was so hard out there. Like it was heavy, man. And like I was going to like, you know, I would like be at an MDC show one night and then like a Tribe Called Quest show or like you know I can't even remember who else here. Like you know in the same couple week, you know what I mean? Like I was going to all these things and even into some like crazy death metal. I was at like Deicide concerts and like Morbid Angel and then down to straight edge scene too. Like that was huge straight edge scene in Arizona. And I was down with like Gorilla Biscuits and Youth of Today and Judge and I loved all that shit. My brain is like the New York City hardcore. I had one tape cassette that was the New York City hardcore compilation. Yes. And like I was like I never heard music like that. I was like this is so different than any punk rock that I was like this is some crazy shit. Like Sick of It All or like I mean all and I think those were all the straight edge ones. My brain's a little. It's been so many
that's great.
years.
That's great.
Years now, you know. But like that shit was hard, man. I was like
different in the West Coast shit.
Oh man, like I was blown away by that music and the energy in it was like you know it was heavy and I was straight edge for 1 year of my life back then.
Shit.
And I got super because I had a crew of homies that were like hardcore militant straight edge vegans, you know. Okay. And I was like. Well, these guys are cool, you know. I thought it was amazing, and so I went full straight edge, like you know. But it was 1 year back then. 1 year was like a lifetime, though.
It is.
You know what I mean? It was like it was like a whole another chapter. And I had the X's on my hands, and I went hardcore, you know. And I'd been partying hard before that, you know. And they were like, you know, you got to clean your act up. What's up, you know? And then so we started getting like we were pretty like militant. We were pretty gnarly about it, you know. And like at least the crowd I was in was more so, you know.
Is it early '90s?
Yes. Somewhere early 90s for sure. Like I can't remember exactly when, but early 90s. Yes. Early 90s in Arizona.
That makes sense.
And there was like within the scene there was like in the punk scene at least there was like, you know, the punk rockers, which I was super down with. We had a crew called FSUP, Fuck Shit Up Punks, and we were like my main crew was punk rockers. That's who I was down with. But we skated. We were skater punks, you know, too. And I love all these guys, man. They were like such a like oh man, like just thinking back to those times was just so cool. And there was this place the Silver Dollar Club, and they'd have so many crazy shows there. Like I got to see Fugazi and awesome. Countless punk rock acts would come through there all the time, and it was like $1 a show or something, or like $2. I think like maybe it was expensive. People were complaining, you know,
complaining.
And so that was a really cool time, you know, and all those things were coming together. But like eventually after a year or so, like I think I heard the Cypress Hill album dropped and I was like, I want to get high. Yeah. so I started smoking. So I started smoking some weed back then.
Okay.
And again, after it, and then I had to like hide it from those guys. And we were like, and then all of a sudden they found out that we were smoking and they like the whole crew wanted to like beat us up. And like we couldn't even go into this one certain area, and we had to hide from the shows. Like me and a couple of my homies, like it was
sold
like,
out the edge.
It was heavy, you know what I mean? Like and it was just, you know, things, you know, like that scene was different. It was, you know, different than it is now. And and it's no disrespect to them and anything like that. You know, it was just I ended up starting to smoke and drink again, and I kind of went away from that path. But I was still like. The music to this day, when I hear that music, it was like I'm like,
the
oh
memories,
my gosh, man! Like, yeah, that was some like cool music.
when do you think for skate? Oh, so okay, wait, all right. So back to California, you said took about 3 years to actually get your first sponsor. Like, how did they even happen? How did that happen for you?
So actually, was getting hooked up in Vegas before I got hurt.
Okay.
And it was through
Skate
it was a GNS, a company.
GNS, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, it turned into a company called And.
Okay.
And then And turned into a company called Maple.
Okay.
They were all the same. Watson was a wood factory in San Diego.
Gotcha.
So they owned it. And then there was a professional skater, Paul Smith, that lived in Vegas. He was on GNS.
Did he create the Smith grind?
You know,
or is that the other Smith?
I think that's the other Smith. Mike Smith. But Paul Smith was doing Smith grinds on big handrails before I had seen anybody do that.
Got you.
And lip slides. And so that's kind of like, he was my inspiration for skating big handrails. Like, like I had skated some in Arizona. Like we were skating like more cavemans and like I was alling to some rails out there.
Yeah.
But when I saw Paul, like he was like in this video, it's called Footage, a Gene S video.
Okay.
He's like, you know, lip sliding and Smith grinding like 11 or 12 stair handrails back in like early 90s, which was like, you know, besides like I think Frankie Hill or somebody, I'd never seen.
I was going to ask you that. They're the first people that kind of brought it.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, like I'd never seen anybody do that before, and so yeah, that was like, hey Stella, yeah, that was like kind of like, oh, what's that little mama? She got a little belly rub.
She's loving you.
Yeah, I love you, Stella. Yeah, so where was that? Oh yeah, but so I kind of had that hookup, but I broke my ankle, and then it was kind of like, call me when your ankle gets better. You know what I mean? So when I got out there was no like real direct connection to anything until I started to skate more again. And then once I started to skate more again, then they were like, they were like, I'll move this for you.
The word about you started spreading. Is this kid?
Well, I was just hitting them up, and I was like, hey, I'm getting better, you know, and then I think some of my friends started to film, and we started working on a video project.
Okay.
And I think then I went back to Arizona for a little bit, for just like a few months or something.
Yeah.
And I filmed some footage out there with this guy, Dave Plattfoot, who I saw the footage surface recently, and I was like, I don't even know who filmed this. I couldn't even remember. And my friends were like, oh, the homie Dave Plattfoot filmed it. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, and so some of that stuff surfaced, and that was going to be for like whatever, some Maple video or something. So like they started to like hook me up again.
Yeah.
I got paid $100 from them, and I was like, I'm rich.
That's a lot back then.
I was so hyped, you know, like, and especially for me, like I was like, I was so hyped, you know, and so that was starting to happen. I was like, something was starting to go there.
That's awesome.
And then I met Jamie Thomas.
Okay.
And he was doing toy machine skateboards with Ed Templeton, and Ed at that time kind of gave Jamie the reins. He like, Jamie was really like the new superstar at that time, you know, and he had a lot of great ideas, and he was very like a leader. He had a lot of leadership quality within him, and he randomly showed up at this house, and because this other skater lived there that he knew, it was just like a homie house, skate house, literally like 20 people. Like it was at night, the floor was so covered with people that you couldn't even like barely walk to the bathroom, because like that's how many people were staying in this place. It's
awesome.
It was like
skater squat.
Yeah, but they paid for it, but it was definitely like a skater squat.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And my friends from Arizona rented it, and that was in Hillcrest, San Diego.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, but Jamie had come by one day and saw this tape of mine that we'd been working on, and he was like, "Who is that guy?" And I wasn't there. And then when I got back, they're like, "Yo, Jamie Thomas was here, and he saw your footage, and he was hyped." And I was like, "Oh man, I was so pissed I wasn't there," you know?
Yeah.
And somehow we eventually ended up connecting and started skating together a bunch, and he really helped me out a lot as far as like introduced me to like all the photographers, or at least brought me on sessions when there were photographers there. And that's when I was like, this is my shot. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm about to break it off right now. You know what I mean? And so anytime there was a professional photographer and anybody videoing, I just was like giving it my all. And I think Jamie saw something in me, and we connected, and he asked me if I wanted to ride for Toy Machine. And I was like, the answer was just like an obvious yes, because it was such a cool movement at that time.
Was that like 94?
Yeah, 94-ish, I would say.
It's the Welcome to Hell video?
It was before that, which was probably, it seemed like forever before that, but once again, like
the timelines.
And 1 year back then was just so long, you know, like it was like, it's just so different than it is now for me at least.
Yeah. Plus you're young too, just fucking living in that moment too,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So it was, you know, we just I guess we started filming for Welcome to Hell, but at first we just started filming, you know, and so
that's a big deal, that being that young and Toy Machine and Jamie Thomas. That's like,
and Ed Templeton especially too, because he was a very big just iconic pro, and somebody that like for street skateboarding, he was really influential to me as well too. Okay. So the chance to work with both those guys was just like, and there was such a like, Jamie was just all about this like energy of like, I'm like going for it, like, you know, like I'm working every day and bringing it together. And with Maple, it was sort of like I was like on my own. I was like, okay, I want to find a filmer. I was getting boards and from them and everything, and it was great. And I loved that experience. You know, I'm so grateful that it allowed me. It maybe even gave me that spark to like maybe come to California, because I knew it was in San Diego.
Yeah.
But there was no initial like anything waiting for me when I came. but I worked and got it going, but Toy Machine was the ultimate really thing where I was like, it's on, like this is gonna happen, like something's happening here now.
Do you reach out to your family and tell them what's happening at that point? I got my first sponsorship. Are you in touch with them?
It was crazy because it was like straight payphone status, and my mom actually didn't have a phone at that time, so I would have to like communicate through my dad. And my dad would sometimes she would call my dad, or my sister would call. My sister would sometimes go back and forth. So it was like very like little communication. So there wasn't a lot like.
Isn't that crazy, man?
Yeah,
just living.
It wasn't really like a whole lot of updates until like I actually like started like really kind of coming together with it. You know what I mean? And then like I was able to get like, I think the first cell phones came out, or at least I had a house that had a home phone in it. You know, and had got a room with my friend. Was that the first one? Yeah. Shit, it's all a little shady. I can't remember exactly. Like I think it was either my first room was with my friend Kenta from Japan in San Diego, or it might have been the second one. I think the first one was with Tom Penny and Angel Kabata had a house in Newport Beach.
Oh, okay.
Because after shit was getting kind of hectic down in San Diego, and I was like, that was the rave scene was going on, and I was like going to raves, and I was like, I was skating and I was starting to come up, but I was still like, I had nothing, you know what I mean? I wasn't getting paid anything at that time.
Wow.
I was still couch surfing from anywhere I could stay, and I was still dabbling into that like kind of like dark rave scene where it's like you know,
partying,
a lot of crazy shit was going on with that stuff, and that's when I was like, hey Ed, can I like come up and stay with you for a couple weeks or something? And so I went up and was staying with Ed on his couch, and started skating with him up there in Orange County. And that's when I got connected to the whole Orange County scene. Yeah. And I met like Tom Penny and Angel from TSA. They were doing TSA clothing, which was pretty cool. Like, cool thing at that time. Yep. And at this time, no, still it'll always be cool. No, but and so I connected with him, and then I ended up like kind of like really hanging with that squad. And Ed was like, you know, me and Ed were very different. Like, even though I was coming up there to escape some of the negative stuff that was in San Diego, I was still definitely like dabbling in it there too, connecting, but more in a positive way there than where I was at because I was hanging with like non-skaters in San Diego too. Gotcha. And at least the people in Orange County I was kicking with, it was all full skate scene and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was Toy Machine that was like what, 94 to 96? Yeah, something like that. Once again, I'm so bad with the time frames. Yeah.
So when was it for you when you realized that this is going to be a career? When you start actually making money, when you start actually making some money where you could get your own place on your own from skateboarding. Was that years later, or like
that was but it was still like I was still like roommates with people and stuff like that. It was kind of a gradual thing in the beginning, you know. But in between, it was like I never even questioned it. Like I was like, I never even thought about it. I never thought about like, am I doing this for a career? Like
just doing it.
I was doing it, and and I was like just going for every opportunity along the way as it came, kind of. Yeah. But yeah, with really no. At that point, there was no turning back. I was like I got put into this machine somehow, and it was the toy machine. Yeah. But the machine of the industry, kind of. And I was like, okay, this is starting to happen. We started to go, but it was mainly like we started to go on tour, and I was kind of like on tour forever. Damn. And just didn't have a house and all this stuff. And then that's when I got the place with Angel, and then the moment in time that really allowed me to start to become self-sufficient within skateboarding it came from a very negative thing in skateboarding, which I actually got kicked off Toy Machine. Shit. They were doing a video premiere. The video, they were exporting the video the night of the premiere. It was like last minute finishing, and the computer crashed and the program crashed, and they couldn't get the video exported in order to watch at the premiere.
What?
And so
fucking crazy.
I'm waiting at the premiere. I'm drinking like in my classic style, and the video's not showing up, and it's getting later and later and later, and I'm getting a little bit more drunk and a little bit more drunk and a little bit more drunk. Damn. And then, and then all the kids are hitting me up like, what's going on? Where's the video? Where's the video? And then Ed and Jamie come up to me, and they're like, the video's premiere is not happening tonight. And I was just like, no, like, what are you saying? Like, I couldn't compute those. Those words did not make sense to me. Like, the video was coming. We were celebrating. It was dropped. It was a moment that I've been working my whole life
This
for.
is like your introduction to the whole
Yeah. And I was just
Fuck.
like, what? And I just lost it. And I don't really remember. I think I blacked out and was just like faded and just going off on Ed and going off on Jamie and you know, and I don't remember any of it really, you know, what I did or what I said exactly. But I woke up the next day and I was like, what happened last night? Wait a minute. Like something doesn't seem right. Like I didn't remember it.
Damn.
And I was like, this is sketchy. Something weird happened. And I was hungover and I got a call from Ed and Ed was like, you know, I'm sorry, but you know, I can't have somebody talk to me like that and whatever. And we're going to have to kick you off the team. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it's over. Like I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? Like my career I'm completely done.
How old were you at that point? You remember how old you were?
I mean,
20s.
No, I couldn't have been more than 17.
Holy shit.
18, 17,
Damn.
18. You know, something like that.
Okay.
You know, I think
The whole world came crashing this
yeah,
day.
it was done. And I was like, man, so I at least I got sponsored and, you know, and I turned pro for Toy Machine and it was cool. And then some other people started to hit me up and I was like, wait a minute, you know, maybe there's some other opportunities. And eventually this guy, the owner of Shorty's hit me up and it was Shorty's Bolts at that time.
Okay.
And his name's Tony Biolos and he hit me up and he was like, hey, Shorty's was the coolest of cool at that time. Like they had Rosa, the model was like for the bolts and so it was just a bolt company and they made grip tape and bushings and stuff.
Interesting.
But every cool skater in the world rode for it. And that was like the kind of first of the first where like it was like this like other type of team that wasn't like only like, you know, Powell or Vision or whatever. It was like everybody from all the companies rode for Shorty's because it was bolts. It was a bolt company.
Yeah.
And they were the first bolt company, as far as I know, that that made short bolts at least. I think they had like T bolts before that or something, or like or bridge bolts. You know, like I think some of those old school '80s ones were around first. But like they were the first company that really reacted to what was happening in skateboarding, and the riser pad had disappeared.
That's right.
And nobody made short bolts. And they made Shorty's, which was the most easiest thing to think about, but the most genius thing at the time. And they were bagging bolts. Him and April, his girlfriend, were bagging bolts in their apartment and selling them. And it blew up, you know, and it really became something. And
just a bolt. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's a whole story in itself, you know. And he hit me up and he was like, I want to launch Shorty Skateboards and I want you to be the face of it. And I said,
sick.
Well, this sounds pretty interesting. And he said, I want to pay you. And I said, ooh, this sounds even more interesting. And then that was like the first real paycheck that I got from skateboarding.
That's awesome.
And it changed my life at that time. And I was able to get my own apartment. I got a car. I got a Honda Accord. I was pimping. You know.
And you're not even 20 yet. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so that was like, you know, like I couldn't believe that was all happening at that time. And that was the beginning to like really the most memorable and magical time in my skateboarding life was the Shorty's years, because I was given the opportunity to help build a team and work directly with the face, you know, and work, you know, more than just being like a poster child for it. I was involved with it. I was talking to the owner every day. I felt like that was my introduction to business, really.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, because I'd watched what Jamie and Ed were doing there, and I was like, all right, like, I have ideas. I have these visions in my head. I've always had these visions. And so this was my opportunity to bring some of these visions to life and do it the way I wanted to do it and not necessarily through somebody else. And Tony was supportive of whatever it is, whatever ideas, whatever
totally
concept.
Believed in you.
Yeah, and we were a great team. We worked really well together, and it was just such a fun, great time.
And did that Toy Machine video ever come out?
My part got taken out, and
so nobody saw that ever, or it must be
like
somewhere.
They like years later, like 5 years later or something like that. They they re-released it because it came out on VHS back then. They made a DVD, and there's like a hidden section where you can find it on the DVD and watch it.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that's the only way it ever came out. Some of the footage came into some different videos, some in the TSA video. Life in the Fast Lane, which is a crazy.
Okay.
The name says it all, pretty much. And a couple of the tricks ended up in the Shorties video too, which is funny because it was like almost 2 years later. Some of those tricks I still got used in that part.
Wow. So did you make up with those guys too? Probably.
Yeah, for years though, we kind of just never really
talked.
We weren't like enemies by any means. Like we never were like, oh, screw you or anything like that. But there was a bit of a I think between me and Jamie, it was like kind of a rivalry. I can't say that word right now.
I got you.
There was a bit of a competitive aspect to our relationship, I think. And even if it wasn't
in a healthy way,
I think so. Yeah. And even if it wasn't between us, it was sort of like within the industry, it was sort of this like Hesh versus Fresh kind of thing, where Jamie was kind of like Zero with skulls and dark, and and I was kind of like hip hop and baggy pants and all that stuff. So it was sort of like this kind of divide in skateboarding at that time period, where it was like, the roots of it were like Thrasher and Skulls and all that, and that's kind of like what Jamie kind of still vibe was like, at least it was relatable to that, with like Motorhead or something hardcore that was playing and slams and all that stuff, and then where like with the Shorties videos, it was like some hip hop beats and and we were all like, what's up, yo, and like and all that vibe. So like it wasn't really like an intentional thing, but like it was sort of like, which crew are you down with kind of at that time. I felt like a little bit, maybe that's how my mind remembers it, at least.
Yeah. So would you say that those are the first videos to start having like hip hop? Because most of those other videos were just pure punk rock. Like, when did the hip hop stuff coming into the skateboarding? Because that was a crazy transition. Because growing up, I would just skate to the aggressive punk rock, and obviously I loved hip hop. I didn't really skate to it, but maybe I was out of the mix at the point when hip hop became like such a big soundtrack for those videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really started with like, I don't know, it didn't happen in World Industries, but I think that was like, I mean, there was elements of it that happened. I mean, speaking of Underworld element, which was like Sky Pager, and it was like full hip hop and like graffiti, and Andy Howell was part of that, who had started New Deal and really brought that world into it, but it was still very underground at that time, and it wasn't really like it wasn't the public perception of skateboarding. It didn't change at that time really as much. And then for me, it was like Menace and City Stars with Kareem and that whole crew. And like that was like really like where I felt like hip hop was coming to be part of skateboarding, and those were huge influences of mine. Like all those guys, and that was like, I think like they planted the seed, and then maybe like I helped bring it into the mainstream even more so at that time. But the industry was growing. So right as my interest started with skateboarding and it was dying, then as my popularity in skateboarding started to grow, it was growing right along simultaneously with the industry itself. So it was a golden time to come up as a professional skateboarder, and it was just a perfect storm kind of in general. But I think that like our videos to this day, I always get kids hit me up through social media, and they're like, oh, like, you introduced me to hip hop, and awesome. It was through the videos and all that, and so it's cool. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't that many African American skateboarders back then. Harold Hunter, Sean Sheffy, Steve Stedham, Chuck Trace, the ones that I knew. There wasn't. I was so happy when I saw like it became such a diverse group of humans, because it just wasn't
Ray
like
Barbie
that. Ray Barbie, that's right. Ray Barbie, sorry, that's right. Sal too.
Sal,
yeah.
But no, it was definitely like, and that was the public perception of skateboarding, was it was this like Southern California white subculture, you know, and that was it. And when I grew up and was skating in high school, one of my best friends, Mike, was Mexican, and he skated, and like he got sweated by the vatos, you know what I mean? Like, what's up, SA? Like, why are you doing that white boy shit? And they jumped me and beat me up in front of him just to show him like, you're next if you don't stop this, you know? Yeah.
Shit.
So it was like that heavy, like it was like, perceived as a white thing and a white male thing at that. Now fast forward till now, it's everything. It's like boy, girl, white, black, Asian, Mexican,
hip hop, punk rock, everything.
China, Brazil, America, Australia,
Yeah.
Canada. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. Africa. I mean, there's skaters everywhere.
Isn't it crazy, man?
And it's like they all got their own little scene. I mean, it's so cool to see. And the reason it's so cool is because how important skateboarding is to somebody, and especially to me and to kids. They have a physical, mental activity that gets them out of the house, that gets them off their phone, that unites them with all these different cultures and people who they may have never been introduced to.
Yeah.
Like, skateboarding is so much more than just this like activity that you ride and try to do tricks on. It's
a community. It's everything.
beyond that.
Yeah,
It's a culture. It's a community. It's just everything. It's so much. It's the world can learn a lot from it. And there's some bullshit in skaters, and they maybe are like judgmental to people outside of skateboarding. So it's such a tight knit group within skateboarding, but like. But nonetheless, it's the positives outweigh the negatives.
Yeah.
So much with it.
Even just fast forwarding to like Loop Fiasco, Kick Push, and Pharrell Williams, like Skateboard P, and Lil Wayne skating, like how that part of the hip hop culture like made it so cool to be a skateboarder too, and brought like such a new group. It's amazing. Just when I saw that all that happen, I was like, I like how everything's so meshed together, all the different genres and communities. It's amazing, man.
Yeah. There's like. It's so many things are like, and it's weird because there's also that like the opposite spectrum of that too, where it's like you see some of these things like coming all together, but then you also see this like great divide continue to happen in this world, which is so frustrating because like it's like we take 10 steps forward and then it's always a couple steps back too, like it's like, and as we celebrate all these different aspects of creativity and humanity in general of all these things that now we're going like, okay, a lot of things have been suppressed over the years, whether it was racial or gender or all these different things.
Yep.
And so we see this rise of all these people that have been suppressed over the years are like, okay, I'm here, hear me roar now, okay?
Yeah.
Which is great. Like, I mean, I'm all for it. Like, be proud of who you are, 100,000%. But then I think that it's a dangerous like edge that we're walking on, because that pride within their community and of self, it starts to now alienate them from the rest. It's almost doing the same thing in a way to some extent, because it's like, you're you and I'm me, and I represent this and they represent that, and there's all these different labels that we're putting on people in society, and it's like, hey, it's great, be yourself, like, but I think like, and it's like, celebrate humanity and don't celebrate just these little aspects of it. I think it's like, celebrate the idea that there's the freedom to be whoever you want to be, but don't segment yourself within society. It's like, we're all here connected, living within the same world, that we need to find a way to like celebrate it all together. Because like, it's like, what if all these groups that are being celebrated at the moment, what if a kid doesn't fit into any of those groups? He's just like, oh, I'm just want to be a scientist and go to school and do my thing. Like, are they then going to be alienated and be the like outcast, or something? And so it's a touchy subject, which is like, it can go on for years, and people would easily say to me, well, you're not that, so you've never been that, so you don't know what it's like to be that. That's why we're being this way, and I understand it, and I don't like, I don't go against any belief in this world. Like, whatever it is that you want to do and what you want to believe, like, go for it.
Did you grow up religious at all or no?
Not really. Like, we were a Catholic family.
Me too.
But when my parents divorced and it seemed like we just kind of like faded away from the church and stopped going, and so I didn't go to church through like a lot of my later years in life. Yeah. But in or later years in my teenage times. Yeah. And then throughout my skateboarding career, it was like, that was like it, like not to go against any religious or be sacrilegious anyway, but skateboarding was my religion in a lot of ways at that time.
Music is mine.
It was everything for me. It was everything I did. It was I lived, breathed.
I agree with
did
that.
everything with it, and like I said, no disrespect to compare it to a religion, but that for me, it's what it felt like. It was
something you believed in and you lived in passionately.
But then later in life, as we get older, we start to search for spiritual purpose and meaning, and so I'm continued to be on that path, and I will to the day I die, I think.
Yeah.
But so I've studied all religion. I've looked into the different aspects and read upon ancient religion, into modern religion, and
awesome.
into all these things. And what I found after all these studies, there's an underlying theme. They're all the same in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
The word might be different. The word God or Allah or Buddha or Krishna or all these different words humanize the truth of religion and open it up to debate. And this will be my words are debatable.
Yeah, totally.
All words are debatable. That's why I have trouble even talking upon the subject because there are many contradictions in what we say and what we do, how we act. But the ultimate underlying theme of religion is being a better person, understanding other people, being at one with them, accepting that there's a higher power beyond yourself.
It's true.
And just basically doing the right thing.
Just being nice.
Being nice. It's not rocket science.
Being kind.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I've come to learn, you know.
Yeah.
And I respect. One thing I had said before, and I always think of is that there's many paths to enlightenment, and all paths can eventually lead there. And my path might not be the same one that leads you to it, you know. And so if I find this path and I'm heading to it and everything's great, then it's not I can share my experience with people and I can give them these tools and they can listen, but it's not I shouldn't have to be like, Toby, you gotta learn about this, man. Like, check this out. Like, you don't even know. Like, you know, why do you think that? Like, you have to think this. Like, because this is the only way that you're gonna feel better about yourself. Because I did it. I'm living proof. You know, like
for me. Yeah.
You know, like so. There's all those things, you know, that like it gets tricky. And once again, it's like there's no way to say in words what's 100% right. There's no way to say what's 100% wrong, even except you in your heart, you know when you're going against God, you know when you're going against yourself, you know when you're going, even if you don't believe in God, you know when you are making a bad decision, you know when you're doing wrong by somebody else, and you feel it. You can lie to yourself all you want, you can mask it, but every single person in the world knows when they are going against the truth and the light, and that is the ultimate thing that religion represents to me. And if you choose to do the right thing over the wrong thing, and the simple thing is be nice, don't be an asshole.
That's the basics, man. Be kind.
Look out for other people, you know. But it's so hard in this world because everybody's clawing for their piece. Everybody's like, you know, and it's just even it's not even all about like this massive fortune. Sometimes just the littlest bit of staying afloat is what everybody's trying to stay in a part of and do.
Stay afloat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we all have this fear, you know, there's a major fear of losing, or the fact that all of humanity's not going, hey, I'm going to be nice and make the right decision. So you're in this constant fear of, do I trust this person? Are they trying to get over on me? Mm-hmm. Should I get over on them first? Because they might be getting over on me. There's all these things that like we're conditioned and fed by this world that we live in now. So at times it becomes hard to make the right decision, you know, and to be the better person. And you know, but I myself every day I do my best to make the right decision. It doesn't mean I'm perfect by any means. It doesn't mean that I'm going to mess up. It doesn't mean that like I'm going to have bad days. It doesn't mean that, you know, all those things, but I know as much as I humanly can, I consciously make the effort to be a good person. To when I see somebody on the street, I like to smile at that person.
Me too.
You know, people say, oh, that's sketchy because you don't know this person. And sometimes a crazy, and I don't care if they're a crazy homeless, ragged looking person or if it's a rich, beautiful lady walking by. It doesn't matter to me. I try to greet every person with the same smile.
Yeah.
Hello, how's it going? At least a nod and a smile. Like, it's just a nice thing to do, and that's what I like to do. And that's a small step, but I think it could go miles, it can have a ripple effect that
100%,
that
man.
changes things.
Just one person a day that you make smile or do something for. Like I believe in that too, man. I really do. Pay it forward type shit,
Yeah. It's real.
Do you have any regrets?
I try to turn any regret into a lesson the best I can.
Smart.
I think the only regret I could have is in real estate
Right.
and some financial decisions in real estate, like, which is not really I guess it's a regret. It's funny because that would be the only regret would be based around money, which is funny, which is to stop and think about, like it's like, wow, like you would think if a person had one regret in their life, it would be something like an action that they did or something that you hurt somebody and you wish you wouldn't have or something like that. But when I stop and think about it, and I'm just having this self-realization right now that and I'm questioning it a little bit, it's like, it's kind of interesting that would be if I had one regret, that's what it would be. And that's, I don't know. It's a strange thing
real
to
estate,
me.
yeah.
Just to think about. I'm even thinking that the statement is strange for me now that I said that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would have invested in real estate more at a younger age.
Yeah.
When and held on to a house that I bought one time. And
So what was the first house you bought? How old were you when you bought your first house? Do you remember?
probably 21, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, I think 21 in Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always that's the one house I wish I would never have let go of.
Especially back then.
That's because
too.
I got it at such a good price back
Dude.
then, and it's like, now look at where we're at. It's like and in California especially,
So expensive,
you just
man.
can't get in. How does anybody buy anything? I'm like, and just not even the mansions. I'm talking about the normal houses. How does anybody buy and afford these homes?
We bought this house in 2003, and this neighborhood was nothing like this. And I told my wife, you're crazy. She goes, trust me, the neighborhood's going to get better. And then, a year later, the zip code was on CNN. Our neighborhood's completely changed, and I'm very happy that we bought this house in 2003. We're very lucky, man.
Yeah.
It was the smartest thing I ever done with any of the money I've ever made. Was smart to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like, if we sell it, where are we going to go? Because we can't afford in California.
Exactly.
We go over the hill or something.
Yeah.
Or I never want to leave California. I just love it too much. I can't live in the winter again. So it's like, we're going to have to sit on this a little bit longer because it'd be worth, more, later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been thinking the same thing because I bought another house up in Beechwood Canyon up Hollywood Hills area.
Yeah.
And on the same thing, I'm like, damn, it might be time to sell this thing, but once again, where are you going to go? And I was, I'm looking out to go into the desert, and I was going to move out to Yucca Valley or, somewhere like that and get some land. And I'm just like, wait, man, can I actually be that far removed right now? I don't know if I'm ready yet.
That's what I'm saying. Could you live anywhere else but California at this point?
And I mean, even though Yucca Valley is still California.
No, I know, but it's far though.
It's only a couple hours, but
still, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in Woodland Hills, I was I felt like I was completely removed from everything. I was and that was a while ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that's what stopped me. I'm I've looked, I'm like a Zillow junkie, always checking real estate out and looking at different places and
a lot
thinking
of those
about
prices aren't. We know from recent shit we've been doing, a lot of those prices, it's not what they say they are either. They're worth a little bit less than what they say.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I would say so for sure.
Yeah.
Don't get your hopes up on that Zillow on that Zestimate.
Yeah, didn't you live in New York too, though, for a minute?
Yeah, I was out there for a long time. I had bought this house here and I rented it out for a while. I actually rented it to Corey from Slipknot was in my house from.
Dude, that's my son's favorite band.
Nice.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
and I connected through Dom.
Okay, what up, Dom?
Dom, Brooklyn Dom. Once again, we're gonna shout you a few times out on here.
I heard Corey's super nice.
And it was funny. I don't think I've ever even met him now that
What?
I mention it because I had moved.
Holy shit.
Maybe I met him once briefly in the beginning, but I think I'd moved to New York already, and then I was out there, and I was I got to figure out something to do at the house, and somehow he just set it up. I can't remember if we've only spoke on the phone.
Damn.
And I might have met. I think I only met his assistant at the time or something.
Gotcha.
I forget her name at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But he was in there for like maybe 4 years or so. I think something like that. Great tenant. Yeah, thank you, Corey. Paid the rent on time, never complained. It was a great situation.
And so why did you end up in New York? What were you doing there?
I've always loved New York,
Yeah.
you know, and I've always had from the first time I went there as a teenager, skateboarding,
The hip hop, everything.
the music was so influential to me. The graffiti culture that had come out of there, and just like I was always the city always spoke to me. Like I was like. In my early years, I was
That's why
like,
you can't move to Yucca Valley, man.
yeah, I know. Well, but things change when you get
True,
older.
you get older. That's true.
Now nature speaks to me. Like
Gotcha.
I love it. Like and that's a whole nother kind of conversation.
I like that.
But in my youth, I was just like, you know, New York City, Los Angeles, like London, Paris, Tokyo. Like
All the major
I
cities.
wanted to go and be a part of all those things. Like I was the rat ready to run the race.
Yeah, I love
Still
that.
am a little bit.
Is that where Muska Beat started in New York?
No, I mean, me and my friends in Arizona were into hip hop back in the day,
Yeah.
and so we were DJing and collecting records and freestyling, and you know, had like maybe one of the homies had a little beat machine, and then I started making beats, and then as I got some money from skateboarding, I started getting some random, you know, beat machines and started, you know, toying around with beats and making them, and I can't remember where the first one I was at, but then I remember in Woodland, not Woodland Hills, when I first moved to, I think I'd already started making music a little bit, but then when I moved to Westwood, was my first place I moved to in Los Angeles from Orange County. I had a studio in Orange County too, but I'd set up a nice little studio in this garage there, and
cool.
and just started like really diving heavily into beats. Yeah,
Was DJ Premier a big influence?
I love Premiere for sure, man.
Yeah, I got a list of your shit. You worked with like African Bambaataa, Biz Markie, Guru, Melly
Guru,
Mel,
rest in
Ice-T, Jay with a Damager, fucking KRS-One,
Yeah.
You God,
Yeah.
Raekwon.
It
Dude,
was
that's amazing,
Oh man,
man.
those are my idols, you know.
Me too.
I couldn't believe it was happening when I was recording.
Dude.
My beats were like being wrapped over by like these guys. It was like the most surreal moment of my life for like music, you know. And and it's just like I'm just like I love things so much that like when I get into them, it's like whatever that action is that my mind tells me to do at that time, like I become so heavily just completely
Absorbed into it.
absorbed with it 100,000%, and that was what music was for me at that time, and producing and learning synthesizers and MIDI sequencing and sampling, and where did all these original samples come from, and collecting all the vinyl, and
I love that.
and you know,
Dissecting it and shit.
and how was this made, and you know, it's reading up on Premiere and Prince Paul and
Gravediggers.
you know, and the Dust Brothers and you know, like all these people, that Rick Rubin, you know, everybody that was producing this music, I was like wanting to know more, and what was the equipment that they used, and what was their process, and you know, all that stuff. And so from going through all that to like all of a sudden I'm sitting in a room with Africa Bambaataa, and I'm like, oh my God, like like he's over here. And then I remember I would play beats for him. I'll listen to a bunch of beats, and he's like, I'm gonna pick this one. And we did this in a hotel room in New York City, at the Soho Grand. That was when I got the first USB.
He was talking about that earlier.
Bus powered recording device. And I was going into Pro Tools you know, with one microphone in the middle of the hotel. And the rappers would come in there. They'd pick a beat. They'd write their song right then and there, and we would record it, and pretty much in one day. Some guys came back 2 or 3 days, but a lot of them just like banged it out in one day, and we did it. And I remember Bambaataa, you know, he picked this one beat, and I was like, damn, you know, and I just had a bunch of them. I had a few beats in mind for a few people, but with him, I had like some like, I was like, oh, like, you know, I want to do some like Planet Rock type, you know, some like boom, boom, you know, like some 808 beats with some like synthesizer riffs and stuff on it, you know, and I had this kind of like P-funk beat almost, like this kind of like funky like beat that was like it was a pretty trippy beat, and he's like, I want this one. And I was like, oh, word, okay, all right, you know, and then he was writing forever, and I was like kind of humming along, and he goes, okay, I'm ready. and then we hit record, and he drops his verse, and then it just stopped, and then we're like, the whole room was just like, it was just like crazy silent for a second. We're like, and everyone's like, oh my God, like it was the sickest song. It was like some style that I'd never heard him really bust. It was so sick, man. Like, yeah. It was like
awesome.
fake. You're like, fake? Oh, that's what you are. It had some like P-Funk kind of like, oh man, I don't know. I can't do it like him, but it was so sick, man. Yeah. And all the guys, man, it was just insane.
What about Guru? That was awesome.
Guru was the best. He was actually the one who came by the most. He would like come back in daily to check up on us to see what was going on and the progress of the album. I got to introduce him to Prodigy from Mobb Deep, who he had never hung out with. Until that hotel room.
That's fucking huge.
And it was like, I was like, you guys have never kicked it? You know what I mean? And rest in peace, both their souls, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so honored and blessed to have lived that moment and sat in a room with them where we both recorded a hip-hop track together and listened to the conversation they had. I'm going to still have to make a documentary on that whole thing because we videotaped a lot of the experience as well, too. Wow. And I have that on video, that moment, and it's just like, wow, I'm just like blown away by it. You know what I mean?
That's amazing you made that connection, man. That's really, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
KRS-One,
yeah.
sick.
And then we did 3 tracks in LA, back in my studio here in LA at the time. And KRS-One was one of the ones we did in LA. And it was so sick. I had a studio set up in one of the rooms in my house, you know.
Holy shit.
And he came through and he dropped 3 tracks in like a couple hours. He was just like, I'm ready. Like, you know, like just spitting the illest verses.
He's
like,
one of the greatest.
Yeah,
man.
like just like, and he just wrote it all right on the spot too. He's just like, I'm doing 3 songs. You know what I mean? And like, he just like picked 3 beats and just wrote 3 songs and just so deliberately perfect, on point, just every time. It was just like each delivery he did was like the first try was like, well, that's perfect, it's done. Like it's like it couldn't have got much better than that, you know. And so yeah, I still have 2 tracks that are unreleased from him. I never put out yet.
Holy shit.
I have to drop one of those one of these days soon.
And Raekwon, dude.
Yeah, yeah. He was like the Tasmanian devil. He came in the room like, woo, woo, this shit is hot, son. Woo, woo. There. No, they got a recording studio there. I'm gonna keep me one in there just like that. And he was like
super hyped.
Yeah, he was just bouncing around the room, had a towel on his head, like, sorry, Stella.
Wow.
I disrupted Stella a little bit here. Yeah, and he just dropped the fire too. Cause I had met Raekwon with Block from Venice.
Okay.
And Lofty, the homie Lofty, they came to because I had the studio in LA already in my house, and they were out because we were partying, still getting crazy, you know. One night after one of the clubs, Block's like, I got Raekwon, he wants to see your studio, we're gonna come over. I'm like, oh my God, you know, and he had kicked some freestyles, and so I'd made, just off of what he was freestyles, I recorded some freestyles from him that night, and we were just kind of like, he was just kind of messing around, and we were just like going off, and I ended up chopping up some of his vocals, and I made a whole beat around it, and so when he came into the studio in New York City, I had the hook finished already, and he was just ready to lay the verse, but he hadn't heard any of it.
Okay.
And so I played it for him, and he was like, what? Word? He's like, you got this done already? You got the hook? What? And I was just like, hey, I didn't want to be disrespectful. I was like, but yo, I made this beat and I made the hook with this, and that was the Muska beats coming through with the motherfucking woo, you know. And I had chopped it up. I was like, he's like, you got the hook? You already got the hook, son. And I kind of had chopped and screwed it a little bit where I'd like slowed the vocal down. I was like, Muska beats,
that's,
you know,
sick.
pitch changed it a little bit, dropped the pitch down a little bit, and it was like, it was pretty cool, man. Like
that's huge.
It was a crazy thing. And then he was like, oh, you got to get my brother You Got on the track too, because he did the one verse. I was like, enough said, bring it on. You know what I mean? And like maybe a couple days later, You Got came through and dropped his track as well too.
Damn, man.
Yeah, that was like, man. I still trip out. I still don't even believe it really happened. You know what I mean?
I know,
like,
man.
Like
it's fucking and
recording tracks.
Melly Mel too, and fucking.
Oh man, Melly Mel. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. But you know, like it was like for me, like Bambaataa, Melly Mel, and KRS-One was just like
sick,
you know, all of them were crazy.
Of course.
But to have the Godfather of hip hop and just like all those originators of the craft, it's like that's like having like, you know, like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and the Stones like come
Totally.
into your house and record
Yeah.
some tracks with you,
fucking
because there
huge.
never is going to be those guys again. They're
Yeah.
the pioneers of the music that it only happens one time.
Yeah.
And those were the guys. And to have that experience and record with them, it's like I can't even. Still can't believe it happened.
And Ice-T too. He was cool.
Ice-T, oh man, he was the coolest,
He's
man.
so
Like,
legit.
came
man.
in with cocoa and everything, man. He came in
Damn.
like, and we're chilling in a hotel room, and it's like I got it on video of him too. He's looking around. He's like, man, this ain't nothing new. This is how we used to run up in the town and sell dope. This is how we used to do things or something. I can't remember. Exactly. He's like, this is a hotel. This is how we used to do it, man. Like, and it's like, and it was like I said, it was like now it's very common to have a computer and have a recording studio carried around with you and go everywhere. Nobody saw that. That was like the first time it was ever being done, kind of. You know,
that, yeah.
At least I'd never seen it, and those guys had never seen it. You know, you had to go to like, we had Chung King Studios.
Chung King in
New
York.
Yeah.
Very famous spot to judge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So and for hip hop too. A lot of hip hop was recorded there too. We originally, so Biz Markie was the first one I recorded in New York, which, gosh, you know, every name I say is
It's
just like, I'm
crazy,
like, oh my
man.
gosh, you know what I mean? Like, but I was like, I don't know if Biz is gonna like accept recording in a hotel room, like, you know, I'm like, is they gonna think we're lame, you know? Like, I didn't know what to think, you know what I'm saying? Because it was all new for me as well too, and I was nervous as shit to record with these guys, and so I had booked Chung King Studios, you know, for that night, just in case, you know, like I'm like, if just in case, I'm gonna book a room there to record and do it.
Yeah.
And so he showed up, and I played some beats. And I was like, we got the whole setup here, and we can do it here. But if you want, we can go to the studio. He goes, what? He's like, I'm gonna do it right here, you know, in Biz voice. And I'm like, and then he dropped the illest song, and I was like, if it's good enough for Biz, it's good enough for everybody. So from that point on, I was just like, this is where we're doing it, and that's what I told everybody. There wasn't a complaint from nobody.
Yeah.
You know, they were all they were stoked on it. They were hyped.
And so was it just spreading, like, because there was really no internet back then? How they know, like, I know you connected probably from one guy to another, but how they know about this? It just through other people, you started meeting the connections to produce these guys?
Some of them led, like one guy led to another, like, but Frank 151, the homies.
Frank Shop. What up, Frank?
Mike
That's
and Steve,
awesome.
Mike and Steve, you know, where we had worked together on an issue for the magazine
The
before
Malbon
that.
brothers,
the Malbon brothers, and they were really connected in New York to the hip hop scene
That's
at
cool.
that time. And when I got out there, I reached out to them, and they really connected me with a majority of the guys on the album. Yeah. What up? Yeah. Check.
Max in the
Oh
house.
shit. Sorry.
He's punching
We'll go
stuff.
We'll go light. Yeah, Max.
Why are you trying to come in with your glasses on, stunting in here in the kitchen?
Yeah, still.
How was school? Good? Hot. You like your new sweatshirt? Yeah. Sweatshirt's sick.
Really hot though.
Yeah.
Hot in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
So yeah, the Malbon brothers. That's interesting. That's before they had the Chop Shop too.
Yeah, that was before. That was when they only did the magazine back then.
That's right.
You know what
Frank,
I mean?
it was a great magazine.
Yeah, those are the homies, and so connected with them, and then met Raekwon through Block and Lofty.
Yep.
And the homie Dwayne, who was the manager at the time, and introduced me to You God, and then
Probably kind of spread from that.
yeah,
like
from there, and then I met Special Ed through the Frank guys.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Special Ed came through and recorded the track.
I got it
And
made.
Then, yeah,
Dun it. So good, man.
And then Ed was like, "You got to get Flav on the track," and I'm like, "Flav's gonna come to the track," and he's like, "I'm gonna call him right now." He call him, "Yo, you got to come through, Flav. These guys are doing some crazy shit over here. You got to come check it." Then maybe not 2 days later or something, or a day later, Flav's up in the studio recording.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, oh my God, like I got Flavor
fucking
Flav in the
dream, dude.
it
Every
was
single
just
person you had.
It was so crazy, man. It was just like beyond. And then it got, but then I was running out of money, and I couldn't do anymore. Like I was paying those guys in order to be a part of it. I gave them some cash up front.
Gotcha.
And it was like kind of basically starting my own I started my own record label.
Yep.
I was doing everything legit way. You know, I started a publishing company.
Damn.
You know, all this stuff, or not a publishing company, but I at least registered through BMI, I believe it was, or ASCAP.
BMI.
Can't remember which one I chose at the time, but you know, had a lawyer and was doing like straight agreements with everybody the proper way and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it was official. You know, we were going about it the right way.
Did you ever want to rap?
The funny thing is that when I recorded Raekwon in the studio, I freestyle with the homies when I was just back in the day and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I never wanted to rap ever in my
Yeah.
life. Like and Raekwon was like, "You're gonna get on the track too. Like you're gonna get on the verse."
Holy
and I'm like,
shit.
"Nah, it's cool. You know." And then he's like, "Nah, you're gonna get on. And I was like, and he kind of like pushed me in the booth pretty much and was like, "Yeah, you're gonna do it." And then so I was like, "All right, I'll go for it," you know. And so I started kicking a verse, and it was like the wackest verse I've ever kicked in my life. I was mad nervous too already, you know, because it's Raekwon telling me.
Yeah.
And
it's
then he
fucking
kind of
crazy.
like he looked at me. He's like, okay. And Raekwon never asked me to rap again after that.
He didn't? Holy shit. And you never tried after that?
No, I mean I kick little things here and
Yeah,
there. You
yeah.
know what I mean? But like, nah, I never. I like producing music. I like the technical aspect of it.
You're self-taught how to be a producer. You learned it all
yeah,
yourself.
yeah, completely. And I had
Before
some friends.
YouTube. Before YouTube.
Yep. And I had a friend, Dave Rowan, Super Dave, the homie.
Okay.
But he was more of like, he was always on my technical back for sure, but I was still self-taught as far as like what the music was that I was creating and
Yeah.
how I was doing it was definitely a very self-taught process.
Yeah.
And looking into like some of the other things I heard within the hip hop community, what machine were they using? Like I got an SP 1200 originally, and I was working with that, and then I learned about the MPC 2000, which I started using, and then computers came along and kind of changed the whole game.
Yeah.
It went from like ADAT and DAT tapes to, you know, digitally recording into the computer.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy. Another question I want to ask you about is where were you in your career at the time? Like where were you in the career as far as like how, I don't want to say how big you were, but how I know you're important when you got asked to be on the Tony Hawk game, and how did that change? Did you feel immediate change when you became on that game, or did it change like later on when video games became? Because that was a huge game. You were on it.
Yeah, I think I was like pretty much at the height of my career in skateboard within the industry.
Yeah.
And what that game did for all of us was introduce us to like as a household name.
Household name.
Yeah, more so. So I mean, that game was a game changer.
Yeah, because this was the
game was a
anniversary
game.
for it. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, so that definitely like took things to a whole nother level for sure.
Were you excited about the time? I'm gonna be in a video. You didn't even think about it. It was just a video game. Like
It was surreal
Was it
for
huge?
sure.
Was it a
Like, you
huge
know,
moment?
I never
Yeah.
had any idea of like what the cultural impact of that game would be
Yeah.
by any means, or like what it would have done for my career. It was just like, I'm gonna be a video game character. It was sort of like funny just to think about and see like after, you know, I was never a big video game kid, but obviously I
Yeah.
played 720 and, you know, Frogger or whatever, Pac-Man and
Frogger.
stuff like, you know, things like that. But
Mhm.
like, so to you know, Super Mario Brothers and things, I was kind of hyped on that. But yeah, to see it to see yourself on a video game character was
That's
like,
fucking
I remember it
crazy.
just like blew me away. And then all of a sudden you would start hearing people say like, oh, like, you know, my cousin called up and they got you on a video game or they're playing you over here or like or whatever,
Yeah.
random things like that, you know. So that was pretty funny.
It's crazy, man. And then you want another one too after that, right? The Tony Hawk Underground.
Yeah,
the
there was
second one?
there was like Tony Hawk 1 through like 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how many it was, but yeah, somewhere to the 5th one I think or something like that.
And so, was there ever a time in your career where you just wanted to quit skating?
No, because I would never quit, but I would take breaks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would
Producing.
Yeah, I would go into other things that were interesting to me so that like I could return to skateboarding and it would remain interesting to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
cuz like I think if you do one thing only for like a long time, eventually you could lose interest in it.
100%.
Yeah.
And you were doing art the whole time when you were younger? You always like a...
To some extent, like
Yeah.
there was like I was like always into graffiti, but I never looked at it as art at that time.
Yeah.
You know, to me it was just graffiti. Art was very separate, removed from me from like it felt similar to what I was saying before with like Powell or something like that. Like it
Yeah.
was like kind of unattainable. I'd never went into a gallery. I'd never went to a museum. It was like something that was like other people did. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later that I realized everything I was doing was art the entire time.
Yeah.
Skateboarding was art. Designing skateboard graphics is art. Making music is art. You know, all these things were some sort of aspect of art.
Did you love doing competitions and stuff? Was that stressful?
I never did competitions.
Oh, you
really.
never did?
I did, but not a lot.
Okay.
I probably only entered maybe 5 competitions in my
wow.
entire career,
Wow.
which is pretty funny. I would go to the
Yeah.
competitions, but they were never a major part of it for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Street ones mostly? Yeah, street.
it was
right.
all street. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
did like mini ramp. By the time I was like coming up, like it was all street for me.
Yeah.
But and it was competitions were different back then, you know. Like maybe I entered more than that, but that's all I really remember. Like
You went into it for that. You went into it because you loved it, wasn't it?
yeah,
about,
I mean,
like-
my whole thing was about the street skateboarding, like not a street course, but going out into the streets, going into the urban
culture,
environment,
all that shit.
and
Yeah.
finding staircases and rooftops and embankments and natural architecture that was skatable.
Yeah. You remember doing like your first set of stairs and rails, like how scary that was, or when we started doing that, when everything changed to that? Or no?
Yeah, I don't really have much memory of like I mean, I remember the first handrail that I did. I don't remember it. I don't remember thinking of things being scary.
Yeah,
I just remember thinking about like, how do I figure out how to learn how to do this? You know.
Yeah.
I remember some of the like crazier things I did in my career being scary and being like, oh shit,
It
like
wasn't skating.
I got to go for this. No, skating
okay,
tricks. You know,
okay, yeah.
like not my early stuff, but like when I was pushing the limits of some of the things, like I had to like, you know, question, was I going to be able to actually get away with doing this or
yeah.
get hurt? You know.
Yeah. And do you have some who are you looking up to at that time, and how do you career with those skaters that you looked up to, and some role models for you?
I've always, I mean, like Gons was always somebody who I like completely looked
Sick.
up to and loved.
Yeah.
And
Sick
Pat,
artist too.
yeah, amazing. Pat Duffy, Ed Templeton, Mike. I mean, all the Nodis, Tommy
Kappas.
Guerrero. You know, all the OG street like legends kind of before
Yeah.
me. But then when I was like coming up, I think I was like, I wasn't looking to anybody. I was like, I want to be the next guy. Like, you know what I mean? I remember
Exactly.
thinking that way. And like, I wasn't like, I was like, with me skating with Jamie Thomas, we always pumped each other up. Tom Penny, Jeff Rowley. There were so many people, man. It was just like great times and skating with all of them. That was such another magical time. But yeah, I wasn't really like necessarily influenced by any one particular person. After I got sponsored and stuff, I was just kind of like doing my thing.
Yeah. And then when did you get into like designing the shoes and stuff, Super and stuff like that? When did that start?
So in 1996, I believe it was, I designed my first shoe with ES
Okay.
and with Frank Bastelli, I think.
This would be your first pro model shoe?
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah, and I had the opportunity to do it, and so I sketched up some ideas, and I worked directly with the designer there to create my first shoe,
Sick.
and it was pretty successful. It did well, and then I had the opportunity to start up Circa Footwear.
Let's say Circle, that's right.
In like 1999, we started that, and then I designed my second shoe with them, the CM901, and that kind of took off heavy, and then designed multiple 10 shoes, I think, within Circa,
It's fucking awesome.
and then went on to later then be a part of Supra and help get that started up and launched and created shoes within them, and
Didn't Bieber blow them up too?
he
Was
he helped out by all means for
Yeah, 'cause I
sure.
remember
Yeah,
first
Bieber
hearing
was
about it.
rocking it. You
I was
know,
like,
the
what's
Sky
this
Tops.
shoe? I remember seeing like somebody
Yeah.
told me that.
It had blown up before that too, and
Yeah.
but he obviously helped introduce it to his whole market and
Yeah.
pop culture market.
That must have been huge for you guys,
and
for sure.
yeah, it was insane. I mean, everybody was rocking the Sky Tops at one point.
Lil Wayne too. I remember that too. Yeah.
Jay-Z, Kanye,
shit.
Lil Wayne, Rihanna,
Fuck.
Heidi Klum, the Olsen twins. I mean, all
blew up.
all these people were rocking it. It became pretty like heavy, cultural movement at a time, which was like an insane thing to see that. Because I've always had interest outside of skateboarding,
Sure.
and so especially with fashion and design and art and those things, so I think that like for me to get to make something that actually broke out of skateboarding was a blessing and was something that was like felt like a big accomplishment, because especially after you've accomplished so much within one thing,
Totally.
like you start to set your eyes on different aspects of life and where you can grow and move on to. And so,
Reinventing yourself too and doing new shit. I like that you've always done that. It seems, you know what I mean. Didn't stay on one thing.
because I think, and a lot of people would be like, oh, like you know, you could mistake that as not being true to something, but I personally think that like
Be true to yourself because that's what you want to do.
yes, and we as humans are placed here in order to express ourselves through any means, no limitation of whatever it is. Once again, whatever your heart and your inner voice is telling you to do. It's like if you feel like painting a picture, paint a picture. If you want to make a song, make a song. If you want to sew some clothing together and make up some clothing, make some clothing.
Yeah.
If you want to, you know, dance. If you want to write. If you want to, you know, build a home or a house or dig a hole, whatever the hell you want to do, go out there and do it. You know,
I agree with that.
and there's no limitation because I'm a skater. I can't do something else. Like forget about that.
Did you get flack for that?
I'm sure some people were like, oh,
Yeah.
like, you know, oh, Muska thinks he's producing music now, or he thinks he's like making art now, and it's easy to talk
Doesn't
shit
think
about
he's
something.
actually doing it.
Yeah,
You're actually doing it.
it's a lot easier to critique than it is to create.
100%.
And
100%.
and most of the people that are critiquing are not the ones doing something. And they're
Absolutely
not
not.
creating, and so that's why I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff.
I love that.
I don't let it bother me.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to keep going. I want to create.
keep
Yeah,
keep
Max.
the mind right. Keep the mind right.
What we got going on here, Max?
Max, just ask the question, man.
Oh, I'm gonna go to the Grove.
Okay, with who?
I'm just gonna go there, but I'm meeting Kevin there.
Okay, cool. Bye.
Do you not need me to take a photo of you guys?
Oh yeah, take a photo real quick before because we're still doing this though.
Yeah.
Take one of your phone because my phone's shut off. I don't want my phone during the podcast.
Should we do it here, chilling like this? Is this that?
Yeah, sure. We're talking though, so leave me alone.
Yeah.
Now you got me
Photo
off
cred.
Now you got me off course, Max. Okay.
Good to see you, brother.
Nice to see you.
Heal up. You had a performance last night, or
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was so
Nice,
sick.
nice.
It was so
Yeah,
sick.
it was super
I gotta hear your music, man.
It was super fun.
I'll get you some music. Yeah.
You should talk about it.
What? I'm not,
Run the band. Go follow Run the Band on Instagram.
Yeah.
you already have your own podcast.
Good seeing you, boss.
Nice to see you.
Good seeing
All
you.
right, be safe, man.
Okay, well, I'll see you later.
Okay, bye. Shit, guy got me, of course. Okay, back to skateboarding. So, do you skate as much? Do you still skate a lot?
Nowhere near as much as I used to.
Yeah, I pretty much.
No,
know the answer
I've
to
had
that
a lot
question.
of I've had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
You know.
What's one of the worst injuries you had?
My back has been the ultimate one. That
That's why
really.
I bought that thing.
Yeah. The back has been the worst one. I have a slip disc in my lower back.
Fuck.
And you know, I was told I need surgery by 2 different doctors, and I'm just scared to death to get that surgery. And I've heard mixed reviews of it. You know, I heard some people it's a miracle, it saves it, and I hear other people that are like it just didn't get better. It's just there. And so that's when I still skate for sure, but I also like do so many other things
I
as
know you
well
do. You're busy.
too. And I go in phases, you know, just like I always have, I guess, through my life. And I went on a couple months ago, I took off and went on a Supra tour around Europe. I was skating demos and I was like breaking it
Sick.
off, and like I was surprised myself on some of the things and stuff. But I have to be aware that like I put this body through a lot of hell.
Yeah.
And so with those damages, you know, there's repercussions to what I've done, and I have to face it. But I'm ultra aware of my body, and I've changed so much over these last 7 years or so. All so much changes for the positive, and to be aware of my body. To you know, like I was saying earlier in this interview, I've partied my whole life, but at this point in my life, and for 7 years, I haven't drank a drop of alcohol.
That's sick.
I
That's
don't.
awesome,
I'm completely
man.
straight edge. I don't.
Proud of you,
I
man.
don't smoke weed. I don't do
Wow.
nothing. And
You have coffee?
no coffee. I go in spurts with coffee here and there.
I just started
but,
this year.
But it's once I drink, like I was on the cold brews a while ago. Like actually I'm just off coffee again not too long ago, but I had like a couple years off of it, and then I went to Europe, and then like as everybody's like sitting in the cafes in the morning, and and then I was kind of tired, and I was off like jet lag and everything. I was like, I'm going to need me a little coffee for this one, you know, to do autograph signings and appearances and stuff. And so I started there, and then I got back, and then what I like to drink are those cold brews, and those things are gnarly.
I heard they are.
They're
crazy
so
caffeine.
insane, man. I'm like, and I'm drinking like 7 cold brews a day, and I'm like,
Damn, jittery as fuck.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't good for my health, I could tell, you know. And then they're also like,
Fucks your stomach up.
yeah,
man.
it kind of messed my stomach up, and
Makes me
I
have to
found
go to the bathroom and shit.
and I found myself wanting to eat a lot more then. Like they say, like coffee will make you like skinny, but
Boosts
I
your
was like,
metabolism too,
yeah, but I was like drinking coffee and I was like, oh, I need to. My stomach hurts. I want to put something in my stomach.
Damn.
So I started to like eat more, and I was being more. The coffee was making me unhealthy. It was weird. I was like,
Interesting.
yeah, which before I was like, oh, like I'm just gonna drink a coffee and I won't eat, and whatever, and
It's
like
a diuretic or some shit.
yeah, but it was becoming the opposite effect on me. So
7 years sober. That's fucking amazing.
yeah,
man.
yeah. So and I feel great, and I'm not like I don't preach my ways on anybody
Chad
else.
Muska straight edge, everybody. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. Okay.
I am.
Yeah,
I am,
yeah.
and
It's awesome.
I am proud of it, and
Sick.
because I can say that like I live in clarity, and I don't have another factor that's in my life that's weighing me in any way.
I love that.
I don't wake up and go, "What happened last night?" I don't.
You've
I
been
don't-
through that already.
I
man.
don't do something and go, man, I wouldn't have done that unless I was drunk. Like, it's not that I don't make mistakes in life still. We all do.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious and aware of my mistakes, and I can accept responsibility
Yeah.
for my actions because I thought of that and I did that. I wasn't like drunk or blacked out
Yeah.
and making stupid decisions.
Yeah.
And then with the weed, I'm much more like in the present. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not like living in this fog of a cloud.
Did you smoke a lot of weed?
I smoked a lot of weed, like a lot
like
lot
Snoop
of.
Dogg style. That
Yes,
much?
I
Okay.
was like Snoop Muska over here. Like I used to smoke. I used to smoke a lot of weed, and like it's crazy. Like now, like I'm actually like I write things. I'm constantly thinking. I'm expressing this. Like I had a whole like person inside of me that I almost didn't know exist because I spent all those years like masking it with the weed.
Yeah.
And
Covering
it
it
was
up,
like
yeah, pushing
and
it away,
I was
yeah.
chasing a high, and that high was like. It was never all the way fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like always smoking or always drinking, and
At a young age, you started too.
yeah, really, really young age. I was smoking weed when I was in 3rd grade,
Holy
and then by the time I was in 6th grade, I was like taking acid and drinking.
Did you do heavy drugs before too?
Yeah. I got
Fuck.
into all kinds of stuff, and luckily, my main things of choice were smoking weed and drinking. That was like that's what I mainly did. I never really went too far down the path of anything else, although I've experimented heavily in all realms of partying.
Yeah.
But luckily, and it's not necessarily luckily because they're equally as bad in many ways.
Yeah.
But like I never really got fully addicted on any other type of drugs besides weed and alcohol.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful for. But still, even those things can be very destructive in one's life. And,
Yeah.
And
So you have no crutches now. You have nothing you depend on every day, just living and no. Do you have any daily rituals or stuff you do? Or
yeah, I'm like
Yoga?
I wake up and I feed my dogs and I walk my dogs and it's in the time where I'm walking my dogs is where I really like I try to like stop and like shut my mind off a bit and I look at the trees and I look at the birds flying by and I feel the wind like in my face and I breathe in this air and I kind of be in the moment with it, even if it's for a little amount of time
yeah.
in that morning. That's how I just like to start my day off.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, whenever I have time, I completely meditate. I live up Beechwood Canyon, so there's like
Yeah.
trails and mountains, and there's some areas where I can just hike up and be in a mountain where nobody comes.
It's awesome.
And I sit up there and I breathe and I face the sun, and I usually have the sun, close my eyes and shut my mind off, which is
Yeah.
a very difficult thing to do.
It's really hard,
It's
man.
really difficult.
What's that
And
meditation called? Because my wife does one too. That's
Muska meditation.
Okay. There's the name of one. My wife does it too. She can do it anywhere. I'm like, respect. It's really cool. Just like block things out and try to shut off. It's hard, man.
Yeah, I'm learning to do it more like in society as well too. Like, and I think I was having this conversation with the guy yesterday that I met with about like breathing as well too is a very important part of it, and just like
Yeah.
and be aware of this moment, to be aware of your breath, to be aware of your unconscious self, or I don't know, and I haven't studied anything. I never met with some spiritual guru that was like, here's the way and this is what you're supposed to do. But whenever I do like read about different things and things that I hear, they're all the things that I instinctually already led myself to, even with yoga practice and stretching and all those things. Like, I'm not a yoga master by any means. I'm no yogi, but all the things I was naturally doing are the things that when people did teach me how to do things, I was like, oh, that's what I do right now. Maybe I'm not aligned perfect and whatnot, but I'm like learning as I go. But yeah, so I try to be like, as much as I focus on business and work and all these projects that I want to do, I try my best to balance. I do, not all the way, but I balance it out with these actions of letting go and living in the moment and breathing and meditating and stretching and being aware of my physical body as much as I can, and be aware of my mind and my thoughts. I think your thoughts are the most important thing that you have to learn to control, because when you learn to control your thoughts and the energy that you spend and spend time on thinking about, you're just only going to give those things more power. So if you're thinking about something negative all the time, you're going to give that idea or that thing that's making you upset, you're only giving it more power.
I agree.
And so I know I can't fix everything in this world. Like, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. We all know there's bad stuff going on.
Yeah.
But if I sit there and just go like, this is bad and this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, I'm only working my stress levels up. I'm only like putting more negativity into the world because I'm frustrated and mad, and that energy is translating and transcending into this collective consciousness and into this realm that we live in. And so I choose to look for the great things in life. I choose to look for positivity in this world.
Yeah.
I know that there's forests burning down. I know that there's people being killed, and I know all these things are happening. And it's not that I want to be oblivious to them and just like, oh, it's all rainbows and bunnies and I'm walking around and it's perfect.
I know.
That's not really what I'm talking about. But it's like, I'm just trying to be the best person I can be, live the best life I can live, have a positive interaction with as many people as I can
Inspire people
have interaction with, and do my part to make it better. And then hopefully that can make things better on a whole. But it's
lead by example.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It's not perfect.
Man.
It's like, especially in today's society and social media and all these things, that we're being bombarded with comparisons constantly.
Yeah.
We're questioning all these things that are happening as a species. What are we all doing contributions? Even as I'm aware of like what my carbon footprint is, I'm still completely disgusted with the amount of things and trash and everything that I produce. Like, I try my hardest, and even with trying my hardest, I bring my own grocery bags to the store. Yeah, I have glass water
He does
ordered to my house, and I bring a mug as much as possible. Sometimes when I'm touring, I have to grab a bottle of water here and
You're
there.
not perfect, man.
But like I try my best to do it.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm like, the amount of trash that just comes out of my house, and every week, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Or like when
crazy.
you grocery shop, everything's packaged in something, and it's like it's what we live in. But so those things, I could dwell on that, and I could go, oh man, this is horrible. It's never gonna, the world's over. It's done,
Yeah.
And just sit here and just be miserable, or I can accept the things that I cannot change, and do my best to change the things that I can change, and live life. We're all put here to live. We can't carry the weight of the world on our back, but we could do our part to make it better.
You've always been an optimist, huh?
I have been, yes.
Yeah.
Very
I think that might be the
optimistic.
key to your success and the key to your longevity and the career you had. Like the things you've done with producing and skating and designing and everything, the art, everything. I think you always stayed focused on a path. I think that mentality definitely helped you get where you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Through everything you've been through, even not being sober and being sober, you still being creative the whole time. You know what I mean? It didn't really hold you back.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think optimism is an important aspect to life,
Yeah.
because it's hope. It's
Yeah.
a spark. Even when the flame is out, it's like a little coal that's just still simmering, kind of. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's like optimism is important. And I think it's something that I've always carried with me. I think.
Yeah, you've always had that. You always had that about you, that aura about you. You know what I mean? Like always smiling, always doing something, always being creative, always like it's good energy about you. You know what I mean?
I feel the same about you, brother.
Thank you. What does skateboarding mean to you? You can sum it up. What does it mean to you?
Skateboarding means so much to me. It's like I could write an entire book.
You should write a book. You should do it.
Just on that subject alone, you know. But ultimately, it's skateboarding is positivity for me. It's. I think that's what it boils down to. Is like if I could simplify it in any way, it's skateboarding is positivity, and it's community. It's a positive community.
Creativity.
And it's a physical outlet. It's a mental outlet. And it's a form of expression. It's a form of self-expression, just like dances or martial arts or like something like that. You know, it's I don't know. There's nothing like it, but it's
your friend too. I feel like for me, growing up, I had a skateboard and I really didn't have a girlfriend, so people made fun of me. And I had my skateboard, and that's all I want to do is I want to be like Roddy Mullen. So people said like. They call me gay and said Toby's going to take his skateboard to the prom. But that skateboard was my best friend. It kept me away from the peer pressure, kept me away from the fitting in. I just wanted to skate every day. You know what I'm saying? Like it became like not a father figure to me because I didn't have a father figure. It was like more of like these idols in these bands. But I don't know. Just the skateboard to me was like I had to have it next to me. It was my security too, you know?
Yeah, because it's an activity, you know?
Yeah.
It's an activity that you do in repetition.
Yeah.
And so I was talking about that with my other friend, Minnick, the other day. And we were saying that like that's like repetition, activity and repetition is a form of meditation in a way.
Yeah.
Whether it's an affirmation that you repeat over and over and over again. Like skateboarding is kind of like that. Like you try to kickflip 500 times in one day. Like and like until you land
Isn't
that one.
Crazy? You spend all that time on one trick.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And so like it's you know it's positive. It's that I think it's flowing in motion. And it's like and so if you're like depressed or sad or like feeling in a rut or something like that,
you go skate
and you sit still. Like even if you don't have skateboarding, like if you're just sitting still and you're in your house and you're stressed out about bills or trying to figure out what's next in your life or all these things, if you just sit there and think about it, you're gonna go nowhere. You're just gonna those thoughts are gonna accumulate and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like when I was a kid, if I was stressed out and things were getting out of control, I just got on that board and started rolling down the street, and it was like you just like the trail of all those thoughts and all those problems just were like in the wind behind you, and you just kept moving. And then all of a sudden you're in that moment, and you have to be in that moment because if you're not, you're gonna get hurt. You have to be like completely mentally focused. You have to connect your mind with your body physically. And I don't know. There's so many things.
It's crazy
that are inspiring and interesting about skateboarding.
And like even back then, when we first started skating, there was no future in it. It wasn't to get paid. It wasn't to be sponsored. It's just because we enjoyed it. It made us feel good. And like you said, trying the same trick 20, 30 times in one day. You had all the time in the world just to focus on the trick. Nothing else mattered around you but this fucking trick, kickflip, whatever it was. But it's like you weren't getting paid to do it. You were just doing it because it just felt good to learn and create and fucking do these tricks you saw in Thrasher magazine. Remember like fucking seeing the magazine, like all the pages, like the layout of each trick, the whole like sequence shots is crazy before videos.
Yeah.
You look at the magazines, try to see what Roddy Mullen was doing on a fucking
sometimes you couldn't even understand, and the sequences weren't even that fast like back then, you know. So like you were trying to figure out if the board flipped too fast, you couldn't really tell what was happening. You're like, wait a minute, was that like a 360 shove it, or was there a 360 flip, or what was you know like what was? Especially with Rodney Mullen, you're like, I don't know what you'd have to study that forever.
Fucking amazing. Do you remember the first magazine you were in?
The first, I believe
like
it was.
Like the picture you doing a trick or something.
I think it was in Vegas when this crew came out to I think it was a backside flip over this embankment. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the first one. It was a backside flip over this embankment when Thomas Campbell and Tobin Yalen came out to Vegas, and they were with like Tim Broch, who passed away a while ago, and a long time ago now actually, and rest in peace, my brother. And who was Jesse Paez, and who else was with them? I can't even remember. It was like a whole crew. Chris Pontius, the Jackass homie, was randomly with them. There was like a whole crew of guys. They were coming on some just tour. Yeah. And I met them and started breaking it off, and they put me in a magazine, and that was like before I'd ever got like sponsored even by GNS or anything at that time.
That's crazy. So you went Thrasher and Transworld probably? Can you be in both?
You can be, yeah, but on that trip, it was only ended up in Transworld. I believe it was Transworld. My memories. I'm pretty sure it was the Transworld.
Have you been in Thrasher before, probably?
Oh yeah, many times. Yeah. I got the cover at Thrasher.
Oh, so you did?
Yeah.
Damn, what year?
Good question. Probably 95 at the
Fuck.
Brooklyn Banks.
Brooklyn Banks was sick.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Brooklyn Banks handrail.
My handrail?
The handrail that's by the banks.
I used to watch skaters there. I'm probably seen it. I used to go watch the skaters there. My friend just gave me this Thrasher from 1983. I got second place. I got my picture in here. I got second place on my Rodney Mullen in Narragansett, Rhode Island, for my freestyle contest.
Let me see this thing. Are you kidding me? Wow.
My boy brought it to me the other day. So,
look at that Thrasher, man.
I know.
Wow.
So Toby Morse, second place. And that was my friend Fred Abong from this band Vicious Circle and Verbal Assault. And then I'm on top. I'm teeny me on the top there, but it's all Fred. It's Fred Smith from Alva. He was like a gnarly dread.
Yeah, I know Fred.
Yeah, Fred was.
I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was Narragansett, but I'm like on the top right there waving and shit. So this is like my
wow.
claim to fame that when I was 13 years old, I got in thrash on my Roddy Mullen.
That is amazing.
Or my
man.
Pearl Willander.
Yeah.
That was my shit.
Yeah.
Freestyle.
Yep. Yeah.
And for some reason, I started skating freestyle on ramps, and I liked how small they were. But then, fast forward to the future, boards became really skinny. But yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
So back in the day, you never rode like the fat boards on ramp. You'd only
not too later.
Okay.
When I started getting to ramp skating, I was a freestyler first, and then I tried doing that, and then I graduated to a bigger board, and then I started really killing vert ramps. I used to skate Mount Trashmore and Cedar Crest. We built ramps in Maryland where I lived. I could do like Madonnas and hand plant. I loved vert so much. That was my shit.
Sick, man.
I loved just like I tried Japan airs and shit.
You got the skills. I seen it come out.
Fuck, I think we covered a lot of shit. That's almost 2 hours.
Wow.
We covered some shit.
Goes by quick.
We covered everything pretty much about your life, man.
Cool, man.
The life of Chad Muska.
There's so much more, but we'll save it for another one.
Is there anything else we missed you want to touch upon right now?
No, I think we're good.
Would you ever want to have kids, be a dad?
I don't know, man. I guess if the time
You look
is
so
right.
young still.
Oh,
I'm not gonna say your age. I don't know your age anyway. But did you ever want to be a dad, or just your life's too?
I've never thought about it. I don't think I've ever stopped being a kid myself.
Neither have I.
Mean? Yeah,
we
yeah.
Never
but
grow up.
Kids can have kids, right? No.
Exactly. But having a kid keeps you young, and I think.
Yeah.
I also think doing what you love keeps you young. I know a lot of people that, they're doing jobs that they have to be doing, and a lot of people that are my age, kind of like older than me, that I've met in my life that aren't doing what they love, and we're very lucky to do what we love. I think that keeps us super positive and super young. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
we get
especially
to be
being
creative.
involved with skateboarding and music.
Yeah.
And, it's like you.
Yeah.
And it's like even those activities keep you in touch with the youth. Like you're actually going in like. You'll be at a ramp skating with a 10-year-old and you're talking about stuff like you're like your best friends, and it's like
It's really
and
true.
it's pretty funny, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like and so I think that helps retain a sense of youth within all of us, and
Yeah.
And not that skaters are the only people that have that, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like I could say if I ever do become a parent, I'm going to be a great one. I have a feeling,
of course, yeah.
I
A lot of life experience, man. To
yeah,
share.
yeah.
Yes, I think we're big kids. I think I never really grew up. I think more like more dudes. I think women are way more mature in a lot of senses, but I feel like dudes, we just like big kids. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's how we grew up.
That's
I
what
don't
they
know.
say. Don't grow up. It's a trap, right? Isn't that a saying? I don't know where
Yeah.
it comes from, but
Yeah. What is? I know you had the art show too.
I'm ultimately responsible, though. It's not about like being irresponsible,
Yeah.
but like it's having the sense of inner child. But yeah, art's another part.
Transitions art show you had.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
yeah.
I've had some since then too.
Yeah, I did a few since then too.
Yeah,
and-
because I see on your Instagram you're always making some crazy shit, and I don't know if you learned that from that cement job you had back in the day.
it's funny, yeah.
because you're doing that kind of.
Yeah, the art connects to like in a weird way to like full circle back to
That
the
last
job
job.
that I had. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did the precasting of concrete objects and would patch them
saw
up
that.
and all that stuff. And yeah, it's pretty funny that like doing something I was so
That's
bummed
a
about
skill you got back
doing.
then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when's the next art show? Say tonight?
Tomorrow actually,
I'm
or
gonna come.
tonight? No, tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah, that's more of a group show with Subliminal Projects, and then I don't have anything set and planned right now. But this last year, I focused a lot more on skateboarding and went on tours and was like really connecting back with the community and doing a lot of hosting things with like speaking at the X Games or like
I love
the
that.
Do tours and
You're like an OG.
Yeah, it's like sort of a commentator, you know. I'm like
Yeah.
like Larry Bird up there, like
That's cool, though.
commentating or something.
But you
Didn't he do that in basketball after a while? Wasn't he
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
spokes guy?
He was.
Yeah.
You're still in the mix and all that shit, man.
Yeah, and I love it, you know, because skateboarding is what made me, and I still like. I love to see the next generation like breaking it off. It's so insane the level.
What about the
of-
Olympics?
And that's coming up 2020 Olympics.
What do you think about
know?
that? It's pretty fucking
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, so it's obviously there's once again positives and negatives to everything, but the positives outweigh that completely because look at here we are skateboarding, something that was like a bunch of young punks on the street that nobody ever
True.
cared about, who tons of kids had to deal with parents that wouldn't accept what they were doing. Like here it is in the Olympics. That's going to open the doors up for so many people. Hopefully it allows more jobs to come into skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know, people can like do all these different things that they not only be a pro skater, but maybe there's like all these aspects of photography or clothing design or footwear design or marketing or web development.
Yeah.
You know, all these different things. The
Huge,
bigger
man.
skateboarding gets, the more opportunity there is to do something that you're passionate about within something you're passionate about too as well.
It's cool to see it like get that respect, and it's been here for a long time, obviously. But just to think about skateboarding Olympics, you never thought that as a kid. Like it's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, it's next level.
And would there be some old school cats in that shit too? Are they having there, or is it more new kids?
I don't
young
know a
kids?
whole lot about it, but I
Yeah.
heard something about like they might be doing some kind of Bull Masters thing or something.
Okay.
Hasoy was telling me something about it, but I didn't catch the full story behind it yet. But yeah, who knows? I might go check it out. Yeah, might not. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I'll get a hosting gig there or something. Get
That'd be
Musk
awesome.
Musk on the mic. You know?
And what about shoes? Any new shoes or anything you're designing? Or
I got some shoes dropping. Still working crazy with Supra, doing a bunch of designs. I have a new shoe called the Muska 2000, which is kind of going back to the late 90s, early 2000s
Gotcha.
design. Some of the original designs I did back then, adapting them into like some futuristic footwear of the moment now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm still just like creating across multiple platforms all over the place, whether it's footwear design. I might end up eventually launching into some clothing stuff or a board company.
I can see that, yeah.
You know, there's like a lot of opportunity out there. Like I've trying to figure out what's next, but I just keep going, just keep expressing
Grinding,
and
man,
creating
yeah.
and doing things that I love to do, and a lot of times that amounts to something, and I'm not going to change the formula from here on out.
Such a long career, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What about a book or a doc?
I think those are the documentary. I feel like we like. I feel like the story's not over yet, so I always
True.
feel weird. I feel like
That
when
is
you do a
true.
documentary, like it's like you're sort of like
About the
you
band that
you-
broke up or some
you
shit.
told your story, like you know. It's like I always feel like my story isn't finished. It's incomplete.
Yeah.
I'm not satisfied with what I've accomplished this far. I want to accomplish more.
Yeah.
But books are just something recently that like have like because my mind is always going. I'm always
Yeah.
like very like I'm a heavy thinker. I'm always thinking, and so some of the best things for those thoughts are to write those thoughts down.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe at some point I'll do something with writing into some sort of story, whether it's either sort of telling my story or a universal story that relates to things that I've gone through or something, or maybe
Yeah.
all the above. I don't know yet, you know, but something with writing has felt like it's been calling me recently.
I can see that. Is it hard for you to shut off at night and go to sleep? Because your mind's racing?
Yes, it's always racing. Yeah, that's why I usually like work till like I'm like I can't
Oh, you
move.
said you're a night owl. That's right.
I'm a night owl, yeah. So I work till pretty late, and then I'm usually like delirious by the time I go to sleep. Like I'll just like work, and then I just like walk into bed and just fall asleep, kind of, you know, like
Fuck.
yeah. And
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think keeps you going like that? Your whole entire kept you. What kept that energy and that passion? Just like the excitement to keep learning and keep creating. I guess that's probably your mind.
yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just wanting to manifest the idea, like to see like because ideas are like we all have ideas. We all like think of these like grand thoughts of things we could paint or
Yeah.
companies we could build or whatever it is. So like I just like have to manifest those thoughts. I have to like get that thought out of my head and make it a reality.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's even the simple things, you know, like I want to have this idea for a sculpture. I really want to try this.
Just keep learning and pushing.
and just make that thing. And usually all my actions lead to another action usually, or that action becomes something completely different than I had envisioned.
Yeah.
We could always think like you could like, oh, I want to do this and I know exactly what it's going to be. And you think it's so clearly in your head, and then you do this thing and it becomes completely opposite of what you ever expected. Sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better.
Yeah.
You know, you never know. And so that's why I like to do things.
You're a doer.
Yes.
Well, thank you for everything you've done. I appreciate it. And also your social media and like a lot of I repost a lot of your shit. Like a lot of stuff you write, it just hits me. It connects with me. A lot of the positive stuff you put out there, and you put a lot of good in the world. And like you said, that platform could be really a dark place and super negative. The internet can be, but I feel like the people that I'm friends with, you one of them, I try to surround myself with people who put positivity out there, and you do that really well, man. And I connect with it. I appreciate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's definitely great. That's one of my favorite things about that tool is to be able to express these thoughts, and it's like, and I'm like 100% from the bottom of my heart, like that's just like what I'm feeling. Those are real time thoughts.
I love that.
And like more so reminders for myself than like me preaching to other people like, hey, here's some like inspirational quote that's supposed to like help guide you through your life. It's like, no, like this is just something that hit in my head today that like, it's like maybe I was feeling in a rut or feeling like uninspired or something like that. And then all of a sudden those small little sayings will come up in my head and I'll be like, okay, let's go, let's do this. And then I was like, I might as well write this down and put it out there. And so that's what I've been doing. And if it can affect and help other people, then that's just the icing on the cake for that thought or that action.
Because that's just you venting your thoughts. And that's the positive thing about social media. You can just put it out there right then. All those people see it. Like just put it right out there, and there's an audience who will listen to it and check it out and be inspired by it or can relate to it or not. Like you just put it out there, and this is me. And that's the really good thing about it, I think.
And I think it becomes a form of therapy in a big way, because I guess like I've never been to a therapist before.
I need to now,
but I, you know, from what I know is you go and you tell them your thoughts. And so for me, I guess I'm just like real-time therapy through social media in a lot of ways. It's like, hey, here's my thought. Maybe I'm frustrated about something. I'm going to talk about it right now. Or maybe I'm happy and excited about something. I'm going to put it out there. You know, it's just kind of like, and for whatever that, just putting it out there and to know that somebody's listening and hearing it, whether, you know, they can give you an educated opinion back based on what your feelings are. Like, I'm not saying that like someone's going to, if I have something wrong with me that, and then I need therapy, that it's going to cure me necessarily. But for whatever it is, it's like, it feels good to put those things out in the air. And for the most part, it has been a positive reaction to it.
I think.
And people are like, I go around all the time and people are like, oh man, like, you know, I really needed that day or something like that.
At that moment.
And I'm like, wow. Like, and they're like, people are like, oh man, like, I don't know what's going on, but like, you know, you just know what to put out there at the right time. Like, you know, and I'm like, I guess it's that collective consciousness of humanity too. Of like, you know, or just universal feelings. It's like we all go through shit. We all
we're all humans.
And a small statement is only so much that where you can like you know, it could be more open to interpretation, and you could relate it to whatever it is you want to relate to in life.
I feel like it's very therapeutic, and I feel like I go through the same thing where I just either make a video or I say something, I just get off my chest, and I feel like I get rid of it. I put it out there, whether you agree with it or not, but it's something that's I'm getting out of my system, and it can be very therapeutic.
I love what you do too, and that's why I was so excited to come on here and connect with you like this, because we've known each other more like so through skating and through just connecting like that, and then I feel like we've connected in a different way through social media recently.
Agreed.
But we haven't been able to like really sit down and have a conversation for a long time now. Besides seeing each other in passing at crossroads or something, or
100%,
or wherever we run into each other at, you know. And so I was excited about this because I feel the same way about what you do and what you put out there, and it's such a positive thing. And you could tell when something's real and when somebody's like, you know, truly expressing what they're going through, or they're just fronting on some like bullshit inspirational quotes. You know what I mean? Like, and not to diss anybody, because if you're trying to put something out there that's for the better, by all means, go ahead and do it. Yeah. But then there's certain people where like you can connect and feel the truth coming out through their expression, and I feel that with you completely 100%.
Thank you, man.
And I appreciate it as well too, and I know there's many people that appreciate it out there.
Thank you, man. We already talked about your bad religion tattoo, right?
I don't know. We just mentioned it.
I'm gonna get a picture before you leave because I mentioned it.
It's fading quick. But
I mentioned it to Brett Gerwitz. I mentioned it in the thing with fucking My Bad Religion interview. It was pretty cool.
Okay, sick. Yeah, they played at the Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh shit.
20th reunion thing couple months ago. And like I wanted to show it to him, but I didn't get a chance because they were like backstage before or something, and then they jammed, and I just didn't get a chance to see.
Did you do that tattoo yourself or something, or
I started it myself, and then the first version of it was myself. I did it, and then my friend Paul Morris did he like overlapped it. Like there's even some sketchy parts of the first version like coming out of the bottom because it was so
fucking
sketchy.
You was super young too, right?
Yeah, we got the like. The Anarchist Cookbook, and I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
and it tells you how to make a tattoo gun out of the guitar string and a Walkman, and then we got some Indian ink and the guitar string. We practiced on the orange for like a half an hour, and I was like, "I'm ready, let's go." And
you must have. How old were you then?
I was like 12 years old or something like that.
Holy shit!
12 or 13.
Is it the only you have a couple tattoos, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You never get tatted up that much. I like that.
Not too much. Not a whole lot. I'm getting a couple removed right now.
Yeah.
Just because like I only have a couple on my the rest of my body, so I'm getting some of those removed.
The laser shit hurts.
That hurts worse. I don't remember exactly what. I know the tattoos hurt. I remember them hurting, but that shit hurts, man.
It's a process too. Like,
yeah, it's a while. Yeah, I got like this one is like getting taken off.
Oh shit! Yeah.
It's like and then I had that H there, and then I had hate on my knuckles, which was like a crazy.
Oh, that's almost gone now.
Yeah, it's pretty almost gone. I want it to be all the way
super
gone.
punk.
Yeah, I was like 13 or something when I got that one too, and I used to get drunk back then too, and I used to get like I was a crazy like built up aggression like crazy little kid, and people were like, "What's wrong? Like, what's wrong? Do you hate the world?" And I was like, they're like, and my friend Paul I think was like, they should get a hate tattoo on your knuckles, and I was like, yeah, like let's do it, like and like I got it, and like that's like if you know me, it's like the complete opposite of like who I am,
100%.
Like, yeah, I think I mistook the like energy you have as a youth, the I guess the confusion of you have in your youth years of not understanding everything. Yeah, I mistook that as like hate towards the world. I think
fuck everything. Fuck the world. Yeah.
I have fuck the world tattoo.
Oh, you do FTW?
Yeah,
so rebellious.
Yeah, I was like, I want this Vato did this one in Arizona, and he's like, where do you want? I was like, I want FTW on my neck.
Holy shit!
I was like 13, and he was like, nah.
I'm so glad he didn't do that.
I know,
man.
me too, myself. He's
Dude.
like, he's like, nah. He's like, I won't put it on your neck. You're too young.
That's cool. Respect for that was. That's really cool. He didn't do that.
And I was like mad at him. I remember too, and he's like, I'll put it on your leg, but not a. Yeah. We're almost done. Yeah.
You out here, Max?
Love you guys.
Okay, peace, man.
Love you too.
Peace. Be safe.
Yeah.
Later days. All right, fuck, man. I think I covered a lot of shit. I know we'll probably do a part 2 someday, but
Hi, Stella.
I just wanted to shit. It flowed really nice.
Stella's a good girl. We've seen
like
all your videos, Stella. You're famous. You're famous on Instagram.
All her dog videos.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You listen to a lot of different types of music. You have an opinion on most of it. Yes.
Very open-minded dog.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Chad. I appreciate you being at my house. I appreciate you being my friend. I appreciate everything you've done for the culture, with the music and the skateboarding, the art, and everything, man. And you're inspiration to me too. And congrats on the 7 years sober. That's fucking huge because you've been through a lot of shit.
Thank you.
It's like a new chapter of your life,
Yes. It's.
If you ever did have kids, I think you'd be a great father. Just so you know.
Thank you. We'll see.
And it looks like you're not really Asian too. Aging backwards and shit.
Much
Keeps you young,
love,
man. Because you're doing what you love. That's what it's all about. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate your time. And if there's a part 2, there might be a part 2. You never know.
Yeah, what up? Shout out to all Toby's homies out there. H2O in the house. What? H2 old. No. We're not H2 old anymore. No, we got this. Kids for life, man. But no, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Much love to everybody out there listening. Skateboarding, music, art, creativity, life, do it all. No limitations.
Keep it positive.
Yes.
Peace.
We are back again.
Yo, we're back again. We're just talking shit, me and Muska now, and we're talking about like taking my man to the pig vigil the other night and talking about like the Impossible Burger and Beyond Burger and all that shit taking over the planet. And then Muska just told me he's like 7 years plant-based. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
What was that turning point for you? Why'd that happen?
Well, I did a master cleanse. That was the start to it.
Yeah.
And I did 12 days on the master cleanse. And afterwards, you have to come back and eat light, So I was eating salads and lighter stuff and not eating meat at that time.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't even a conscious decision. It just happened. And I just was like, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. and I just said it, you know. I mean, I didn't even say it. I just did it.
Just did it.
And then I would like eat a little bit in the beginning. I would do a little bit of cheese and then some like sour cream and stuff. And
Transitioning.
then eventually I cut it all out, you know, and I was done. And I haven't looked back since. And
So you're a straight edge vegan for 70 years.
I'm straight edge vegan.
That's just crazy though. You
Yeah.
fucking full circle, circle from when you were a kid though.
Yeah, back to the roots.
That's what I'm saying though. Like
Yeah.
before that shit was even.
Yeah, and I guess I use vegan a little bit loose because I do
Plant-based, whatever.
I
yeah.
do wear like some shoes that have
Dude,
some
you're
leathers
not
and
perfect,
stuff
man.
on it. And so that's why I'm a little bit scared to use the word vegan.
Yeah, but it's impossible to be a perfect vegan no matter what. When you go to the dentist, everything they test and put in your mouth has been tested on animals. You sit on leather seats in airplanes, on fucking Ubers. It's impossible to be the perfect vegan, and I hate when people are so extreme about it because it's impossible. You do your best. So what? You were leather. Who gives a fuck? You don't eat animals. You're doing more than a lot of people are doing. And I think it's cool.
But I'm also like in being a shoe developer. I'm like looking into so many.
I was going to ask you that.
I'm trying to convince these guys to do all vegan products. I do offer vegan products, but like there's like, and maybe who knows? Maybe one day I'm just gonna have to start my own line completely and do it. You know?
Yeah,
like,
I was going to
I
say
don't know,
vegan fucking muskas.
Yeah, there's so many cool materials out there that like I'm interested in but I also have to study those synthetic materials more to find out what those elements are and everything with that too.
Yeah.
You know, there's always like some bad within a lot of stuff within manufacturing, but there's like a really cool mushroom leathers that are out available right now, and it's like I think it's called mushkin.
It's
and
fucking out of mushrooms?
Yeah.
Get
So
That's crazy.
yeah, and it's like
I hate mushrooms, dude. I don't eat them.
Yeah,
I'll wear them though.
Yeah, they look really like cool leathers. So they're producing
Holy
like some
shit.
very amazing alternatives are starting to
So
come
many, man.
into play, and there's probably only going to continue to get better ones. And so I'm very conscious of my effect on not only the environment but on animals. Like animals are the most innocent, most beautiful thing on this earth.
Agreed.
And it just blows my mind that we have a choice whether we want to eat them or not eat them, and people will choose to eat them.
Convenience.
It's like, some people are like, well, I have to hunt my food and eat it and this and that. And it's like, and I'm not like, I try not to push my beliefs on anybody, but for what I've come to terms with and what my beliefs are like, I don't want to eat something. I don't want to eat an animal. I love animals. I love all animals.
Yes.
I don't kill spiders in my house. I get a little cup and I save them. If a bee flies in my house, I save the bee.
Yeah.
Like I like
Same.
I like all animals. And I don't want to kill something or participate in the killing of an animal that doesn't need to be killed. We already do enough to this planet and to the environment that these animals used to live in naturally, that like it's just it's sad what's happening to animals and
especially in 2019, like I was just talking about the slaughterhouse, Farmer John's downtown. They killed 10,000 pigs a night in the Dodger dogs. Just that that's even LA downtown that still even exists with so many alternatives. I heard somebody told me Beyond Meat is right down the street from that place actually. So what I like about Beyond and Impossible is that regardless if I want to eat them or not, because I try to eat like more like plant-based like you, that they're a major threat to the meat industry. I think that's fucking amazing. They're so shook right now, the meat industry, because there's so many alternatives, and like almond milk and oat milk's crushing the dairy industry, all that shit. Like it's powerful. Like these companies are coming up, and like maybe like 10, 20 years from now, like eating meat will be like a privilege. To have a steak would be like $200. Like it's got to like, I don't know. Things are going to change, especially with the Amazon. Lots of people going vegan now because they just realize the connection with the Amazon and fucking animals.
Agriculture.
Yeah, man. All the grains they do. Yeah, man. It's fucking.
I think in humanity's going through a shift in general right now. There's been an awakening from a lot of people. Yeah. And like I feel it. Like I know I went through a change 7 years ago. Yeah. I feel a lot more people going through changes, and I feel collectively everywhere people are becoming more conscious
100%
of their actions,
100%.
Some people aren't, and some people, but there's been a huge shift, and a lot of people are, and then will have that ripple effect on the world, and people will learn, and look at the young generation right now is the most interesting. Like, they're some of the kids that are like, really going for it the hardest, which is so amazing.
I love that.
And I think it's like possibly because they haven't been completely conditioned like some older people have. Like
Good
it's
point.
like I try to talk to my mom about meat or something like that, or like whoever
hard.
that's older. Like
It's hard.
Like well, I can't. My body needs it. You know,
My
like
mom
I've
says
grown,
that too.
I've grown up my whole life eating this, and this is what they, like. It's like
100%.
they're just like it's okay. Like I'm not gonna like try to convince.
It's hard
you.
to change with
Like
ways
it's
like that.
try this almond milk. It's like what? That's what is with cereal? That like what is this?
Yeah.
And what's funny is like that you don't realize like and a lot of these things that you change like I didn't have like milk chocolate forever, and then like a while, this is like years ago now still, and then I was like, I think I had one of these cookies and I bit one, I was like, oh, there's a chocolate chip in there, you know what I mean? It was like, wasn't vegan, and I was like, and it tasted nasty to me, like I was like, and when I used to remember I used to like chocolate,
Yeah.
and then even trying to cut back on sugar and stuff, like
It's
like
hard,
I don't eat any candy. I don't drink soda.
Me either.
None of that stuff. I haven't had candy in years and years now.
That's
you
powerful,
know,
man. It's hard.
And I don't remember the last soda I had. Like I just can't remember when it was, and it was over 7 years ago.
Holy
And
shit.
so that is just like. It's just like water. Water's the best drink on earth. What's your body made of? Why would you want to put something else in it? Like
Yeah.
I like coconut water. I drink that a lot.
I like it too. Your convictions are strong though. You stand by them for 7. That's great, man. It's pretty.
Yeah.
So at first it was kind of health coming off that cleanse, or was it automatically like I'm just gonna stop eating animals? Was it health first and then became for animals, or just?
I think it was both.
Yeah.
So, because I had been like when I was exposed to straight edge and being vegan back in the day, there was like I was played these videos and I was shown
Yeah.
things that like never left my mind.
Gnarly PETA videos. Yeah.
And my friends were crazy. They were like militant about it. You know what I'm saying? They had like, there was some handbook that went around and they had like 1-800 numbers that you would call like the fur companies and try to like rack their phone bills up, or like
Damn.
all these weird things that like just were like to try to change things.
Super glue their locks or some shit.
They were doing some crazy shit. I don't remember all this stuff, but there was some nuts stuff going on.
She's brought back to that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, and it's like I think that's always been there with me, but I was just blinded by society. I was just like, oh, I grew up eating meat. I didn't know any
It's hot.
better, you know.
Yeah.
Like I was hungry when I was a kid, and that's what was put on my table, and that's what I ate. And
The 4
then,
food groups and milk does the body good.
yeah, and we're conditioned to believe all this stuff, and it's like, I feel great
I
from
was gonna
not
ask you
eating
that,
meat.
yeah.
I feel like you said, I feel like I feel younger. I
You
think
look-
I've
yeah,
looked
man,
younger
yeah,
from
man.
it.
Turned your shit around.
And it's it's just like but even being a vegan, you have to be aware of what you eat, because I still slip here and there. Like I'll get some vegan pizzas and
Yeah, you can
overeat some
There's a lot of vegan carbs out there.
snacks, and stuff, and I'll
Yeah.
get a little overweight here and there, and I'm like, okay, shit.
You could be a junk food one fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm trying to be more aware of that as well too. And I go in a little bit of my phases with that. But for the most part, like, when you're conscious of your body, you're putting good things into your body, and
It affects
you're
your mental, it affects everything.
and you're being physically active, and you're
Yep.
having positive thoughts. Like those are just that's it. That's the key to life right there. It's like, positive thought, healthy diet, and physical action and motion in your
100%.
body. That's it. Those three-
People don't think that their diet and all the shit food they eat all day affects their mental. It 100% does, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy. They
Yeah.
don't think what they put in their body. Oh, it's just for energy and eating. I get my protein, but it doesn't realize like all the other shit in there fucks with you, man. It's like you make you depressed. It's all that stuff. It's just how you treat yourself, right? How you
Yeah.
feed your body, the energy. That's amazing. I would have never known that you fucking.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
For some reason, I thought I would have.
Yeah, it's really cool.
See, but that's why I guess I don't really preach or promote
I know,
any
I know.
aspect of my life.
I know.
Like that's just my choices I make. And
Yeah.
although I would love to see the entire world do it,
100%.
I guess I just don't like. Also, because I don't want to be open up to criticism of the idea that I do design shoes that have leather products in them, and so that's where it's a little bit of a fear
You're
for
not
me
perfect,
to
man.
like overly promote it. And that machine's been operating for 23 years pretty much. I've been making products for skateboarding
Yep.
that suedes are supposed to be the best, and this sort of mentality that a lot of that business has. But and I'm not an owner of the company, so I can't like just stop everything overnight.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part that I deal with, but I'm making steps towards the right path, and trying to get more vegan
Yeah.
lines implemented into the projects that I'm working on.
Yeah, Nike has a lot of synthetic suedes and all that shit. There's a guy called the Air Vegan. You should follow him on Instagram. He's like for sneakerheads who love Nike. He posts all the vegan Nikes.
Sick.
It's really
Sick.
cool because they use so many synthetic things. And I got friends who work there, so I always send pictures. Hey, is this 100% vegan? Because there's all these myths of like hasn't probably happened since years. Oh, they use horse hoof glue.
Yeah.
And the glue, but that's like some 80s shit. Like everything's changed since then. You know, it's like, and you do your best. Like I said, we're not perfect. You can never be perfect vegan or human. So fuck, if you're eating really good and you have some other things, who cares? At least you're fucking trying. The point is about trying and being conscious about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy when people say they love animals and like, I'm a dog person, I rescue all these dogs, but then they eat a hamburger at night. It's hard because you want to shake them and say, don't you see the correlation? They're both animals. They both fucking, it's hard, man. It's hard.
And I think the thing is that most of society, it's so removed from that animal to what that food is. They look at like a cheeseburger as a cheeseburger. They're not looking at that burger as it's a cow. Like if they can go and look that cow in the eye and go like and spend a week with them and
100%.
comb its hair and water, give it water and you know what I mean and spend time and then go, okay, now you're gonna eat this cheeseburger, this cow. You know, I think that they would have a different understanding of it, but
100%.
But they've done such a tricky thing with packaging, and you know, it's like even when people probably buy chicken in the store and they see it, it's like this, like they just don't even look at it like a chicken. They look at it as like just this bagged processed meat in some cellophane wrap. You know,
that's
what I mean?
we've been told our whole life. Though, is we need to have that. Had to have that protein. It's crazy. You see that movie? See the trailer for that movie Game Changers? Is that right now?
No.
It's a new Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It's all bodybuilders and lifters who are all vegan, plant-based.
Okay.
The trailer is really amazing. And so Schwarzenegger, I guess, is a vegan now.
Wow.
So it's like talking about all the myths and what he's been told. It's like protein. It's like all these jacked fucking plant-based monster bodybuilders. It looks really cool.
I've always seen the one with like the picture of a gorilla going around. It's like
They're vegan?
it's just a buff ass looking gorilla, and it's like plant-based diet.
It's fucking true though. You know? But people don't think about shit like that, man. I think now it's more conscious, and we talked about offers that like just because we don't have to eat the Impossible Beyond, the fact it's in Burger King and Del Taco and Kentucky Fried Chicken, all that shit, it's fucking amazing, especially for bands who are touring and you have to have that alternative. It's there for you. But for me and you, like, we try to keep it more greens and nuts and all that stuff. But I think their purpose is like, we're going to create this burger that's not a dry ass Boca Burger hockey puck from the 70s. Yeah. It's actually juicy meat. So it's helping to get meat eaters to try something different. Because when meat eaters look at vegans, they think it's all this hippie, dippy, dry shit. You know what I'm saying? So they created something where it's like, you got mad protein. It tastes like a burger, but you're not killing an animal. So that's where I think it's fucking pretty powerful.
It's the gateway burger.
It's the gateway burger, 100%.
Yeah.
No, it is. You know what I mean? Like it 100% is. And I never thought that I'd see a fucking vegan Whopper and fucking. It's just. Yeah. The world's changing fast, man.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, those corporations are doing it because they want to capitalize off of it. Like that's what I believe, at least. You know.
But it's a good trend because it's saving animals.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
As evil as they fucking are, they're doing something to make a dent in saving the animals on the planet. I mean, it's a really popular trend right now. It's fucking.
I love it.
I know. I remember people couldn't say the word vegan. They couldn't say what vegan meant in the 90s and shit, you know?
Yeah.
I was eating dry-ass falafel sandwiches on St. Mark's and shit, sacrificing for the animals. I just hope the animals appreciate me, all the shit I've done for 33 years not eating you motherfuckers and traveling and eating fucking grass sandwiches. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's just like, I don't know. I think more people conscious.
Yeah, and almost every restaurant you go into now, it's like there's vegan options.
Yeah.
Like on almost all
everything,
menus,
dude.
You know, which is like that was just. I mean, just
unheard of.
A couple years ago, even it wasn't true. Like that. You know what I mean? Like I mean, it just really in these last few years, it's and that's a great sign for humanity, I think, in general. Yeah.
So what I got from this is that Muska's a militant straight edge vegan and he's real preachy. I'm just kidding.
Straight edge in your face.
Oh shit. Oh shit. We're gonna end it on that. That's fucking awesome. Great talking to you. I could talk to you for fucking hours though, man. Fuck.
Love you.
You have so many different layers of yourself that I fucking love. All right, we're gonna continue this part 2 and 3 some other day, but thanks for listening, you guys. Damn, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's fucking sick.
All right, but bye. For real this time.
We're gonna come back in a minute. Bye. Check out.
Peace.
It's fucking awesome. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please rate, review Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast. Please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the next one.